Welcome everyone, this is Evelyn. I have pick one of 5 of my messages of the day and pick one of 4 of my 3 deck twin flame reads. So right now do that. So of the messages of the day, pick 1 through 5. And then for the twin flame 3 deck reads, pick 1 of 4. And I will present them all to you. I'm going to do a little bit of an introduction first with one short message, and I'm going to roll the die and all that. And then we'll get into the first 5 messages of the day, and then the last 3 will be the 3 deck reads like the one on the table, which was the last read. So let's go ahead and take a few deep breaths first. Just 3 deep breaths. Another deep breath. And one more deep breath. Sending so much love and blessings. I hope you're having a beautiful day, and thank you so much for being here with me. Let's go ahead and roll the die for you guys for today's energies. Today is the 5th. It's the full moon today, the 5th of February. And it was 3:50 on the clock as we started, which is the 3 of the Empress and the 50 of the 10 of Cups, emotional fulfillment and great abundance. So perhaps emotional and practical abundance here. And for the twin flames here, we have the 10, which is the Wheel of Fortune. So that's also Libra energy for me. That high vibe destiny energy of the Wheel of Fortune. We have Scorpio energy, which is still in the South Node, letting go of those scorpionic traits that are no longer serving us. And we have the Sun. So there's Leo and Child energy here as well, and leadership. All right, we have Scorpio in the middle. So we have Libra, Scorpio, and Leo, which is skipping over Virgo there, going from Leo, which is fixed, straight to Libra, which is cardinal, and then Scorpio, which is fixed again. So 2 fixed and 1 cardinal. And it feels very masculine. The 0-point field. And high vibe, transformational energy. All right, guys, here we go. So this is first a general message for everybody. It was just a quick poll that I did, and all of these reads are from the 1st to the 5th, all polling up to the full moon here. So this is this first quick message I have for everybody. And this was from the 1st, as I'm starting from. And that day was the 1 of the Magician and added up to the 10 of the Wheel of Fortune, so the magical wheel. And so I just was casually pulling from the SIRIAN Starseed deck. I don't usually pull from that deck unless I'm doing this read for the twin flames. And the bottom popped up as the 4 of Cups, with the Chariot, and the 4 to 5 energies there of stability and freedom were coming up there, and guidance. Cancer with 3 of Cups behind her, only 1 in front looking at her star in the ocean. Taurus may be sad here with 2 cups in front of them in the woods or on land. So there was this polarity of ocean versus land, and Cancer versus Taurus energies here. Water and land, water and earth. And it's like they switched, and now the Divine Feminine is with the family and focused on self, and the Divine Masculine alone focused on 2, which then would be the twin flames. So it's like they switched their dynamics, where in the beginning the feminine might have been just focused on the 2 of them, and the masculine was dealing with his family and focused on himself and his career and all that kind of stuff. And now it feels like that dynamic has switched. And from the gem deck, which is the crystal angels, Amethyst and opal had come up that day, and ruby was at the bottom, and ruby came up today. So that was significant. And then from the Ascension deck, Mother Mary came out with Grace, which my mother's name was Mary Grace, so there's a connection there for the Divine Feminine. And this was at 10:55, which is the Wheel of Fortune and the truth of the Ace of Swords, or Excalibur. Mother Mary with Grace and the 52 of the Queen of Swords, referencing Lady Liberty, calls for aquamarine and forgiveness, compassion, after Gabriel, Thor, and the elementals of fire, the salamanders of fire, to transform negative energies here, and food, or perhaps bad foods that you're eating. The elementals, the goblins, the pixies. Rogoski came up with the 11th ray of mysticism, connected to Hollow Earth and 7th Heaven, and there's 7-11. As Rudolph also came up there too, with the 12 days of Christmas and the 12 chakras, and the abominable snow monster, and the island of misfit toys, as the island of hybrids also came up in a prior read, of silver and gold, and you see how Rudolph comes up here, with Cornelius's cloak, and the narrator as well. Mother Mary and the oceans, Lady Gaia, Earth, and the elementals. Focus on activating all 12 chakras. Love, compassion, and gratitude for Earth. Forgiveness to those times that Mother Earth swallowed you whole. So again, there's that tough mother love, but from Mother Earth, and that can reference literally an earthquake that swallowed you up. Silver and gold and aqua clear waters. Causal, soul star, and the stellar gateway chakras. Don't overlook the navel and high heart and fourth eye, you see, because, as in the causal, the pineal is the coffin and pituitary is the pit. You must dig out the dirt before exhuming the coffin to re-examine the body of knowledge and circumstance, or that happenstance. Silver, gold, and aqua and mud, the color of your body when it returns to dust on the earth. Stardust you are, and stardust you'll be, as R and B, or rhythm and blues, came up here. RB is also rebound, and bound to or repeat, or reference, or 3 with cloud, haze, mist, and overcast, attention, care, and construction. Young, new, ray, too much, those, pair, couple. And notice we're starting with pair and couple, because we're going to end today in pair and couple as well, that they are ish, double rays, or multiples in current state of dancing with the Holy Grail, the X and the U. The D of the note D, or the sound D. He, king, as in King David coming up here, but right as well, about the king, the monarch, the magnet, the fact or reality. Look, see, here is the king, Rain Man, and then Raymond came up to say, to prepare, to make the bed and lie in it. The I as in what you see with, and to be, to roast, give, nurse, and soak. And by the way, this day, February 1st, was the first time that Teddy got to see snow. It didn't really snow much, but there was frost on the ground, and it was definitely white and covered part of the ground. So he was kind of excited to slip around in the snow. It was the first time he'd ever seen it. So the first glimpse of that pure white snow. And again, Rudolph and Rain Man and Raymond and brothers of autism, Tom and Dustin, or top dog to Mary and Dustin things off. But dealing with the nurse and soaking and pass, to go across a mark, to skim the top off the liquid, to alter something, transferred or removed via supernatural or authoritative means, a curse or spell to trigger or undergo a hit, dislocate or suffer from it. Mid-tone all came up for this. And a lot about the kings came up, and that'll come up in some of the other reads as well. So fire, aqua, water, earth, and the 12 chakras at 11:27, which is justice and the Ace of Wands. Of gold and silver top, with cloak, and the 52 of the Queen of Swords, and Saint Germain's been coming up big this week too, and the Violet Flame. The Queen of Swords, though, Gemini or twins, the Messenger, and the 14 of compassion, patience, and a higher love. The 1 of the Magician and the 26 of the Page of Wands, inspired by twin, and the Queen of Swords with 1 Page of Wands. Perhaps patient angels or Sagittarius here. Saggy, Mr. Ed, as I refer to God sometimes as Mr. Ed, and being Sagittarius, they're very expansive in knowledge and knowingness. And Gemini are twins. And is that Mother Mary, the Mrs., overseeing the island of misfit toys as I'm losing my voice, while Ed is on the mainland. So here's the Mrs. on the island and the Mr. on the mainland. And there was that reference to ocean and land earlier with Taurus and Cancer. So this, I did some scribing to get more messages to see what was coming up. And the one consistent message overall is that shape of a bird, and then this shape here of a bird, okay? And it also references the balance of Atlas and the weight of the world on their shoulders, but also the way a bird looks when they fly. Sometimes there'll be a loop here and sometimes there won't. And so there was a lot of energies that came up around this symbol and actually expanded on it more today. So the symbol of the Sundanese language was coming up with this symbol, because that's the symbol for the EU, because their EA is also all a very similar symbol. It's this 3 type of symbol here, as Z's were coming up. And they have this Z symbol as well that looks like a Z, but it means just the sound of the consonant without the vowel of whatever letter is referenced right there. And sometimes this bird doesn't point down in the middle. Sometimes it humps up in the middle, showing off the shoulders more in the loop-de-loop, like with the 2 on either side right here. So it's the same, it's just it's not bent down in the middle. It's like the wings down or the shoulders down and showing off the shoulders and the wings as opposed to the heart or the center energies and the head. And the crane was very much coming up this day. Balancing scales and Atlas shoulders. And the letter M, because M is the 2 1s and the V in the middle, which is co-creation. But M is also that shape of the bird, which very much came up today. So the crane, and also the shape that brought up the fanatic's nose, which looks like an anteater. And it's funny because that subject had come up the day before about the Philly fanatic's nose and the anteater. But I also got a picture in the clouds of something that looked like an anteater, but I think I posted it as a hybrid, the one on the island of misfit hybrids. So the fanatic reference also came up with the Philadelphia experiment and Plum Island of Montauk and the Montauk Choir, and the reference for this was the-sun.com. The Montauk Choir, or excuse me, the Montauk Chair, that enhances someone's psychic powers. I know I've talked about this before. I know it came up in my research before on Plum Island. But it enhances psychic powers with electromagnetism and 2 other dimensions. And 11 similarly uses a device to open a portal into the upside down. Abductions here too, and Stranger Things named after this. I mean, you can look that up in the-sun.com if you'd like. So October 28th, 1943 came up here, which is actually my son's birthday, not 1943, but his soul number is 43, so it was very much about Scorpio energies there. And the destroyer escort, USS Eldridge, and the naval shipyard came up here. A high-frequency generator, and to generate, the term came up very significantly here, so remember to generate, with discharges to disrupt the magnetic field. As Jessup wrote a book, The Case for the UFO, in 1955, word got out and he supposedly died, or supposedly killed himself, right? 1959 was deemed suicide. So Elias Carlos Allenide, Carl Allen wrote what he had witnessed. and letters to Morris Jessup. Allen had served on the SS Andrew for Rousseff and saw the Eldridge appear out of nothingness in Norfolk because it left from Philadelphia. So October 28th, 14, excuse me. Why did I write 14 there? I don't know. It was 1943. I think it was July that same year. I don't think it was July 2014, or was it? Now I don't know. But anyway, it was no. That's I think 43. So July 22nd, 43 is when the actual first part occurred in the Philadelphia experiment. It only happened for a few heartbeats or blinks, according to the Einstein theory, the unified field theory, to combine electromagnetic with gravity into one theory. Anyway, it was in the Nobel speech, 1923. And then it went back to the crane and the anteater's nose, and the Speaker of the horse or house was coming up, which, you know, Nancy Pelosi left, and then now it's Kevin, is it McCarty? Or McClarty? Which is the Speaker of the House now. He's 55th Speaker, by the way, and the truth will come out. So she was she wasn't actually the 54th because she was already Speaker of the House. I think she was the 52nd, which is the Queen of Swords. But the Queen of Swords perhaps reversed. And then 55, we have the Ace of Swords of the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So hopefully that will come out this year. Lucy came up in the elephant. So those of you not familiar, there's a famous landmark, Lucy the elephant, in I think it's Margate. Ventnor and Margate are right next to each other. I always forget which it's in. But the crane was coming up, and then God's scales, referencing the eyebrows and the nose, the expression and sense of smell of Sophia, Mary, and L, and the crane and M, and the anteater, the nose consonant, no vowel, right? Because when you use your mouth, you get a vowel sound, A-E-I-O-U, right? Ah. But the nose is more consonant resonance. And then triple M's came up here, which references the 3,000 suns, or the exponential, as opposed to 1,000 suns at the crown, 3,000 suns exponentially. And then say 77, because the two sevens with the lines across the middle in the language Sandinese is the letter S, or S-A. So Mother May I came up right there. Say it soft and it's almost like praying. Maria, Sophia. And then Mamma Mia came up as well. And the elephant nose. Okay, so it was all about the nose in this energy. So Atlantic City and Ventnor came up with Lucy the elephant. And notice Atlantic as in Atlantis city. And then Ventnor is Ventnor. So Vent is a portal, right? And then Margate, also a portal, which makes sense, right? Since they're sea gates. And Lucy is in Margate. And Lucy was originally built 1881, the energy of the purple moon and the completion of karma around the world, of wood and tin sheeting. I'm having a lot of trouble talking today. I was fine earlier. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds came up here as well, and Lucy was restored in 2000. So December 28, 2022, on MSN.com, Lucy was to be officially unveiled on Wednesday night, a one-night stay on March 17th, 18th, or 19th this year inside of Lucy, which has no bathroom. It's usually $138 to stay there, apparently, with ocean view. And through the back legs, you enter this Victorian place with no running water, but they do have air conditioning. They do have a separate bathroom trailer with a shower, toilet, and sink that you can use for your one-night stay there. All right, so that's the entry information I have so far. So now we get into message of the day number 1. So again, all of my messages are set up in a similar way. They're going to be different decks, but it's always the underlying energy on the left here, and then the pile I had to count on the right. Sometimes it'll come out in pyramid formation like that, but mostly it's taking out 3 cards for each deck, okay? Sometimes the 4th will come out with the cards, but that's how I get my messages. So this is the first read, and there we have that's the Shaman Dreams deck at the top. The Past Life deck is next, and then that is the Journey of Love, the Wild Unknown Animal Guidebook, and then the half deck of Rider-Waite, just the characters, and the bottom is my mixed deck of Lenormand and Kipper. Okay, so this is the first read, number 1, message of the day, and it's 20 minutes. So at the end of each of these decks was 2, 1, 3, 3, and then 4, 1, or it could have been 15, 1 with the pyramid, and the numbers came up, 21, 33, 41, or 21, 33, 151. And 333 was coming up here as well. The world of Christ consciousness and the Holy Grail love, as 15 reflects 51, reflecting the shadow of mankind. To one standing up in the lambda leap, the Lamb of Christ, the Da of the Dad, the Father, of the lambda leap and back, perfecting the Philadelphia experiment. 151 came up in gematria as decoder, as the divine feminine, divine masculines, 3 and 3, in the womb, soul, heart, Holy Grail connection of the sacral, then the center, solar plexus, and then the heart as the Holy Grail, the stem being in the middle, in the quantum entanglement of their solar plexus, where you always get anxious. Heart and soul to use Om in left transition up, and of course the left is the divine feminine. So at 12:23, and by the way, they were all pulled from 12:17 to 12:21. At 12:23, the mailman arrived after I had begun. And now I'm getting the Carpenters. We've only just begun to learn. So that's coming up. 12:30 is the Hanging Man and the 4 of Wands of the union, the home. And the underlying energies here of the 45 of repairing the veil. And the spouse that was reversed here, the 19 of Shakti, Swans, the Knight of Swords, the 9 of Swords, and the 39 of the Knight of Cups of the community. And prior to starting this, as the mailman came in between dealing all the cards out first and then starting my read. And that was at 23 again, which is the King of Wands, which is this year. This year is all about the King of Wands. So repairing the veil, grieving divorce, as the sun comes into his Shakti feminine, shock of source, mother's milk helping sun to glow, reflecting swans, purge, stress, cry, through the full moon build-up, as we're there now. The Knight of Cups offers love to the community at 1, 2, 3, 4, shut the door. Perhaps the Irishman. And that was funny because my daughter was taking some Valentine's Day photos and she came out with flowers all over her, yellow and red roses. So I was definitely feeling, stress in the solar plexus that day since I started dealing these decks. And the wounds of divorce and Valentine's Day and the breast and the womb were coming up. The Woodwives of the first deck of 64, which is the 10 of Swords, the 15 of the Dust Devil, 46 is the Root Girl, and 57 the Unmarked Trail of Revelations. 45, repairing the veil, adapting to extreme pain and bliss, as dirt is kicked up for the Root Girl to purge. Perhaps the little girl who always wanted to be a man, so her father or mother would pay more attention, or a boy who pushed down his inner little girl to have the approval of their parent, denying himself, and the coal that's under the extreme pressure for a long, long time, having to follow an unmarked trail to reveal separation from self and getting screwed, or screwing self. Grieving the story to repair the veil, weaving the pages back together, top down, 4 to 5, instability and freedom, articulating space and forgiveness with room to grow, and living to tell the tale of being tailed. And then I was getting Princess Diana. So the first card here is the 34 of the King of the Hill, and Benny Hill was coming up, as well as Bene, because Benny means good. Benny. So Benny and the Jets came up, and what was also coming up, because Sir McCarty came up the other day, but this was bringing up, don't forget about Sir Elton. So Elton John came up with Benny and the Jets, and J's, ET's, as in Jets, L with a ton of weight, and Johann, Yeshua, yes, fruit, egg, grain, dear one, to flower and bloom. Testicle and sun also came up there. To flower and bloom and blossom. And then Ray Charles, the Ray of Charles, and Stevie's Wonder came up in the land of down under, where Ray's birthday is September 23rd, 30 to June 10th, 04, which June 10th is my mother's birthday, and 04 is the year my dad retired. So Ray and Stevie both coming up here, and Stevie Wonder is still alive, of course. His birthday is May 13th, which is Taurus, 1950. So here we have the blind men coming up. Stevie celebrates Houston matriarch who died at 103 years old, January 14th this year, 23, Myola Donahue Laws, and sang If It's Magic from Songs in the Key of Life. She also did some sewing in bridal gowns and song and volunteered her time. So they did a tribute to this 103-year-old. And at 12:53, the Hanging Man and the Knight of Swords, or the Knight Messenger of Truth. So the King of the Hill here with the lay of the land, with records on the wall in energetic exchange, spinning discs, tapes, sticks, and airwaves too, rhythm and blues. And the 24 of the Queen of Wands in the galactic mushroom of the divine matrix, the galactic inner child, in the mushroom of two vine mothers' tricks. 9-10 begin again, and again, and again, as the 26 of the Page of Wands is the gathering around of the little mushrooms in the power of community, the grieving of mother and child, and bringing children back together, with Uluru to glowing rooms, and storybook land, and elephants. And then there were two cards coming up here, 35 and 23, the Wounded Warrior and the King of Wands, who lost their way, needing to discern the difference between CERN and the organic wheel of fortune. Remember, Jesus's cup was gold on the inside, and that all that glitters is not gold, but fool's gold at the 11th hour, at 11 to 11, with vertical and horizontal, and, which remember, and is Dan and DNA, stranding, artificially standing, which is ST of the path of and, again the space between, and ing, which is a water meadow, the path or and in the water meadow, the ink in the house to wobble and swing, getting back to integrity with luck and right timing, and wings, and there's bringing Paul McCartney, just can't stay out of this, and Mother Earth, which can be Linda bringing this up. So at 104 is the Magician and the Emperor with space between. The Celtic issues here of the Neanderthal to the Homo sapien, and the Neanderthal man seated by the Anu to be the workforce in the Earth or Terra experiment. The Terran man, so instead of Terra, I keep getting the spelling of T-E-H-R-A-N instead of T-E-R-R-A, and T-E-H-R-A is the exact same letters as Earth, just rearranged. So then I looked up Tehran, and in Iran, a couple was jailed for 10 years for dancing in front of the Azita Tower without a headscarf, and dancing as well. So of course there have been a lot of protests and arrests around this. Neanderthal man clubbing women over the head and dragging her by the hair back to the cave. The scribe or the writer, and issues with authorities. No lawyers, no bail, none were provided to those two. The issues with being expected to be a monk or a nun, or told how to pray. Issues with trees coming down and families destroyed. The high priest or priestess weighing the scales in front of the world of communal living, still living in caves, still with issues with wars and battles in their land, and spousal issues and rights, churches or state preventing divorce, and no excuse. So at 116, the leap to the tower, or the magician, divine masculine, and sudden events, the unrequited love between the King of the Hill and the women of the land, the mother and the children reading stories about how others live, Or are they allowed to read whatever they want? Mother with kids and a need for good health care here. The best start is a healthy environment with a loving mother and not being abused or neglected by either parent, or not being cheated on by the father or mother, which goes both ways, of course, but here we're talking about the distorted part of the father. So at 119 is the divine masculine and the sun. But here today is a lack of spouse or divorce or unequitable love or unequated love of the woman due to the ego of the king of the hill, and perfectly happy being alone with her kids, that she shouldn't have to mother him too, that he'd get more attention if he played the loving role of the father as well. Past life issues here with the medicine woman, the healthy, intelligent, with healing abilities, that she was a danger to society as the kundalini rises and her powers as well. Words like snake and dream catchers spark evil spirits. Here also is the medical artificial intelligence versus the natural organic healing methods, and how AI has hijacked the symbol of the kundalini and now modern medicine, along with healer, heal thyself. So there's energy of the father being absent or running out of time and ships. Asian influence came up there as well as spiritual versus religious energies. The word and the hands as far as healing, and the yellow and the candle were coming up there. And then 6 cards came up with the lover's family. At 125, the 41 of the Ace of Cups and Mary Magdalene as Hercules. The masculine and the Knight of Wands. Hercules, her harvest, in buttercup yellow and knowing without knowing. The Mary Magdalene of the MM and the M that we just talked about in the beginning of the read. The bird that flies, but is also the scales of wisdom and the energy of Atlas carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders, all at the same time. I am woman, hear me roar. And the crane came up, and the scales again of the M. The Ace of Cups, and then the UPS came up from the cups. And also the word ACEC, A-C-E-C, as vitriol, and which is sulfuric acid, and bitterly abusive language coming up with this, and oops, or delivered UPS, perhaps that was an accident. The womb, the soul, the ER plexus heart, or in other words, the Holy Grail, cupping over the womb, the stem being the solar plexus, and the cup holding the heart. The Holy Grail is the hole in God's rail of the tunneling or boring, the boring effect or the boring, tunneling through, which is what CERN is. The 62 of the choice, it's all up to you. Prison planet or freedom rings, and the 11 of justice and the eruption of light in the alignment with Hieros Gamos, and peace in riding the waves of the double swans, the 29 of being present in the spiral dance of the goddess, with the ovary and the pearl being strengthened, gifts taken, and weaving her way out of this. The 50 of the cloak of the 10 of Cups family, the happy family, and silver and gold of Ulysses and Cornelius, with Mike or Ice Pick. And that could be Mick or Ice Pick. And the 56 of the 2 of Swords in the dance of the planets, where planets is play nets or grids, and the divine feminine and masculine are walking through it, all hand in hand, keeping their energy clear. The 13 of gifts received in transition, seeing orbs in nature, and 67 of the swan, that loyal, humble servant, pure and simple, beautiful and humble, and the 63 of the light field, which is very painful and suffering in silence of being completely exposed to the elements, and the elementals in the middle of the bridge. Excuse me. The sun getting slammed by the divine feminine energies coming in, the Shakti, the warrior within the feminine, always in defense of her children first. So again, it's like Mother Nature slamming the masculine fully exposed on the bridge, because she always protects her children first, and all of the Earth's children are her children. The 68 is the Page of Pentacles, of dropping into your heart. As the Page of Pentacles student of life, the sun shifting universes. So it's like Mother Nature saying, you know, if don't cross Mother Nature, right? Or you're out of here. It's kind of that tough love that's coming up here with Mother Nature saying to the masculine, if you're not going to treat the divine feminine right, then I'm going to kick your butt, right? I'm going to slam you with this energy in the middle of the bridge. And then the 7 of the key of the Chariot, and leaving the quiet within, or learning the quiet within, right? That moment before the 11th hour, the Chariot ascending, and the 42 of the blood dance, the chambers of the heart that gets welled up and pumped up. The 2 of Cups of 1-to-1 for good health and gathering around of the children. With 3 cards here, 1 and 2, the 61 of She Loves, and then the 38 and 12 of the Queen of Cups and the Hanging Man. Her risk to love, the pearl threaded of the feminine, that she is the one who bore or bears the children. They tunneled through her as the thread, boring through each feminine. The pearl threaded down through the generations, through the mother and each child she bears, connecting all the pearls or dots. In self-initiation of all the mothers that did without her wisdom, and taking a risk to see things in a new way, to survive for her children, and now learning to do that for herself, taking back her gold coin after she'd given it to her child when they needed her full attention. And this was at 1:44 p.m. So at 1:45 is the underlying energy of the lizard and the cosmic egg, the cheetah, the nightingale, the bear, firefly, and the swans. Sensitive to crowds in the collective awakened, on the ground with the troops, in a crowning moment, with the cheetah about to pounce to get them to sing, and the nightingale with baby's breath, so pure and sweet, to get lizard to come out. The bear awakes from their slumber, inspired by reflecting swans, with a bright idea, and Liz or Liza rode, cause Mick or Mike is her chi and show of power, to be or bear fire swans, and face the elk on fire, or girls just want to have fun, or girls just like their father or hothead mother who wants to be in charge, or at least climb that mountain to achievement, that mountain of achievement. But I was getting The Alchemist, I was getting what else was coming up? Anyways, that energy of the need to be successful, which is a status symbol. But to be the father, mother, and child and not eat right is an explosive situation. The fish out of water, ungrounded and lashing out, and the bat out of hell, fleeing the scene of the crime, claiming, I just wanted to be loved. With 3 cards, the moth to the flame, and unable to control themselves, with Dear One and the frog in the rain, wanting to be the prince, but not knowing how to get there. And yeah, I watched the movie, I can't remember what it was called, about, now I'm blanking out on her name. Pam Anderson. There's a movie about her life on Netflix, which was actually very good, so check that out. So at 1:54, which is the leap to the Page of Swords, the message here, and the masculine message, the underlying energy of the world of the divine feminine, of Pisces, the naked woman, marching to the beat of their own drum, and draining in the, or drawing in the Knight of Wands, leaving the Empress behind, stepping up to the plate, or Pisces and Taurus with wind and fire, as the King of Wands observes all this, looking back at the past, or the messaging of the Empress as the Knight of Wands takes off for the world, or to go back and travel, or visit the old neighborhood, or the King of Wands in court, justice, Libra, balance, and truth, and the Page of Pentacles learning about the gold coin, how the mother gives it to them, and then she turns into the silver until she learns how to stand up for herself again, after she raises her children enough that they can do it themselves. So the Page of Pentacles is learning about the gold coin and self-satisfaction, a faction of enough is enough, being given a choice by the Queen of Swords, who isn't satisfied and wants her freedom, or only feels free with the girls or her children, as the Queen of Pentacles and the High Priestess are Aries, and Pisces or Virgo here, or observing happiness of the earthy mother and daughter, independent, while the Emperor is now the devil, swearing in, or tempted to cry, stressed, or Aries and Capricorn with no sleep with the ball and chain, and twins having purged it out already. The first card here being the Page of Wands, the King of Cups, and the Magician, where the Page of Wands is pushing the King of Cups to manifest or make magic. But the Page of Wands may have a temper on them, and the King of Cups a fish out of water, creating a bat out of hell, or one to fly the coop, or feeling extreme pressure in or of the heart, needing to discern if that's collective or them, or CERN that's causing havoc in the air. Or Caleb coming up here with Meatloaf's group, Out of This World, one out of the park with all tools on board, and the Hermit with the light. The Hermit with the light portrays the King of Pentacles and the Wounded Warrior, or maybe mediating them. And then the Knight of Pentacles traveling to see the Queen of Swords, and her nose. So perhaps she's got a nose. And Barbara Streisand could be coming up there as well. So at 208 is the space between the 2 of the feminine. Remember, the 2 is also the Q, and the 8 of the dance. As the King of Swords, divine lover, or perhaps that's Gemini attacking innocent children. Or the Queen of Swords is talking to the King of Swords, who's not listening in mediation, as the Knight of Swords then charges in, or Gemini delivery from the Six of Cups, inner or outer children. As the Knight of Cups and the Dark Knight, or Scorpio, come together with the Queen of Cups and Page of Cups, perhaps about the King of Cups, or a father, or the Wounded Warrior who's suffering in silence, over the Queen of Swords, and the cord that was cut. 2 sets of kids, or Divine Masculine brings love to the Divine Feminine with a loving message back, now returned. So at 214, which is Valentine's Day, and the 2 of the feminine or Q and the higher self, and the 14 of a higher love and patience and balance. The underlying energy of being inspired by a love letter and coming clear or clean. Loving man 28, and the 11 of justice and cracking the whip with rod and staff, or the Page of Pentacles. Leaving a letter or sealed document, or learning about one. The 36 of the Atlas energy, and the ship sailing with no water to float or anchor into. The pie in the sky, or spaceship, over barren land that used to have water in it, which came up in my dream last week. And the 17 of a gift presented from the 31 of the sun and or the group, and a big offer to brighten their day and or expose all. With the 44 of the It is the 4 of Cups, and it is the Hercules energy of the feminine or the social worker. But here it's coming up as the magnified test or exam, the details. The making it bigger than it actually is, or looking at a contract very closely. And number 30 then, adjudicating a home or a union. With the Page of Cups or Moonchild, needing someone in the 10 of Cups family to take the lead with a fox out there who may want to take advantage of them. Or before the fox or dog leaves the hen house to return to their Knight of Cups community, or cheers, going back to the bar perhaps. Or hitting the bar after work or court instead of going home to walk the dog, and this could be a dog who really needs to pee. And the gift and the details exposed in court, learning to appreciate the love that was given, the home, the children, the pets, the marital property, and the 18 and the 14, which may be significant dates of birthdays or anniversaries, but also the purple moon and the higher love. And at night with Patience, or Cancer and Sag, or Sag going out without them. Aquarius here too. Perhaps the Wounded Warrior is Sagittarius and the Queen of Swords is Aquarius in a breakup, or the Queen of Swords and or the King of Swords could be Gemini as well. At 224, the Divine Feminine higher self and the Queen of Wands, or is that Omega, or perhaps the Pleiades? as the first card here is the 9 Queen of Swords, or the Queen of Swords Virgo with flowers or gifts here, and Sagittarius with a message of concern about the Knight of Cups, death, end, or dark night, or Scorpio, who's headed over, to journey to the Queen of Cups Cancer this night or mid-moon cycle, perhaps tonight before the full moon really kicks in, or around Valentine's Day for romance. But who's the message from? And is it a scorned Sagittarius or wounded warrior, or scorned Queen of Swords, Aquarius or Gemini setting them up? With Virgo, Sag, and Cancer here, and Scorpio as well, there could be a Pisces too, as the 35 wounded warrior cuts anchor, perhaps with a sister, or suffering in silence or stressed, or cutting ties with suffering for good, as the dark night comes toward the Queen of Cups, perhaps to surrender at 2:31, the divine feminine or higher self, and the conflict within the group or healthcare system. So that's read number 1. All right, so read number 2. Read number 2. So read number 2 is just 3 decks this time. But I do have some more information prior to the read, so I'm going to give that to you first because that all came up together. So on the 2nd of this month, Tommy Two-Tone came up, and notice that two-tone is the number 2, and then the word 2 and 1, so 2 to 1. And Tommy is that top dog energy of the T, or time out, and the Om, and then oh my, and then the TT of the Twin Towers, and the 2 T's coming together is pi as well, which is equal sharing. And I noticed that the Tommy Two-Tone came up because I woke up hearing the song, 8675309, 8675309. And I realized that, well, 5309 is very close to my old phone number. It's 1 digit off. But it also is exactly the address of my friend who just moved. So it's kind of funny. And then, so the name's Jenny comes up in the song, but the name Karen came up here as well. And at 1019, which is the Wheel of Fortune and the Sun, I got up to write those notes about waking up to that. And so I broke up the numbers because I kept just hearing it over and over, 8675309. And if you take that apart, it's 8 and 09 at the either end, the bookends, and 67 to 53 in the middle, which are 2 knights, the Knight of Pentacles and the Knight of Swords, greeting each other because they face opposite directions. And the 8 is the dance, and the 9 is the compassion, the ending, the one and the all. And remember, with the 698 pod, you have to get to the 9 to create the 8 pod, right? Because it's a 6-9 coming together that creates the 8, with the key being the 7. So the dance of the Knight of Pentacles and Knight of Swords was space for compassion. The Knight of Pentacles and Knight of Swords of 8 to 9, which is the Phi and reflection energy, and then the 698 pod with the 7 key, with 5 and 3 also coming up as the throat chakra and the solar plexus chakras as being significant here. So here I did some scrolling, to get some more messages to see what was coming up. And take a bow was coming up, right? The show is over, say goodbye. The show is over, so take a bow. And for me, it was the Madonna Take a Bow song that came up. But when I looked up Take a Bow, Rihanna's song came up first. And Rihanna's was much more like vengeful. It was like, he's only sorry he got caught. And, it's more of that attitude. Whereas Madonna's song, Take a Bow, was very loving and saying, I just loved you. So, why did you need to do this? But it's time, the show is over, so it's time, time, take a bow. Your performance was wonderful. You took my love for granted. Why, oh, why? The show is over. Say goodbye. Or take a bow. Why do I want to... Are they separate songs? I can't even remember. But take a bow was definitely coming up here. So, M-E-U-O was coming up. M-E-U-O. The shift of the E-E up to the E-E down, which that E-E down is what I showed you, like the bird shape, but with the shoulders being more pronounced instead, like the wings down. And I was getting the E-E, and then the 2 and the 2. And oven mitts were coming up here too. It was kind of this shape. So I was getting this, I got this bent over shape right here, which looks like, you know, if you flatten that piece of paper out, it looks like a glove down here like this. So it was coming up as the bleeding heart as well. And some different words were coming up. From the energetic exchange to even the score, 2 to 2. And a bow or a bow that became a knot in the dance of the heart. And then the C and the S, which is Christos Sophia, and also coming together make the number 6. And the V of creation, which 6 equals the CS creation, and the scroll work rolling out the red carpet of the heart. So, and again, the bleeding heart came up. And the energy of the crane. The words Pilu and Milu came up. And the trash truck came by with Milu, which is a loud, confused, or tumultuous fight, argument, or scrap, which is right when the truck went by. The battle fought at close range, so they don't have a lot of long-range weapons here, but it's more like hand-to-hand combat with a lot of... It's also considered a lot of small polished gemstones. So 86 and 68 and 98 were coming up as reflecting each other, right, reversed and upside down. And the 8 and the 6 on their side as well as the 86 and 68 of the Page of Pentacles. And of course 86ing it is getting rid of something. The lobster claw, the oven mitt, King Tut's hat, and Tommy Two-Tone all coming up, 2 to 1. And then at 12:52, the rare red crane on one leg extending a hand with stone in mouth, so it doesn't fall asleep. The sword and the stone, the word and the tone, and again Tommy Two-Tone coming up to my 0 point, right? The Y in the road, 2 to 1. 2 to 1 is the Y. It's where the river splits, the delta. And then ESS also came up, as in Estonia, and Ash and Horse, and E flat. And Edwardian came up as well as the athlete, the rapid, the vessel, the death, the ox, the clam, the bivalve shell. So again, twin shell. And the energy of the red crane. The crane was so significant here. And then the 0 point was coming up here, like the sun, which is the circle with the dot in the middle. But it was coming up with guards on the outside, like with 4 cranes. The way the cranes do it, they gather around the leader, and then they have some on guard around it, which come up like rays. They're the rays on the outside of the circle. And it makes a picture of the sun, literally. So the environment was coming up here too, and again, that bird shape in different ways, right? So you have the bird shape, which is like just two humps, but then sometimes there's an over loop there, like the head of the bird, and sometimes there's a point in the middle, and sometimes it's not. The circles are on either end, referencing their wings down, or the weight of the world on their shoulders. So this was February 2nd, 23 as well. So there's that King of Wands coming up again, and Desmond Tutu also came up here. And the triple M's of the 3000, and the letter M of co-creation as an EM as well, which the Pleiadian god is Imana, and I would spell it Emana. And so nickname M for me, which is the letter M. So the Sundanese alphabet came up again, and the symbol that looks like omega but upside down and more squared, which looks like the nose of the fanatic. And the lima came up here as well, or the lab jar, because it looks like the lab jar that you would use in a lab. And then the symbols I showed you before of the Sundanese language, which you can look up if you'd like, but there's a lot of 7s and 3s in that language, in the shapes that they make. So the crane symbols came up for that symbol, this bird symbol. Okay, so that came up under crane symbols. And cranes mate for life. Their dance is inspiring. In Egypt, the double-headed crane equaled prosperity, and they hold a stone in their mouth, so if they fall asleep, they will wake up and won't fall back to sleep. And only the Hindu is it inauspicious, called the Saras in Sanskrit. But in China, prosperity and also wisdom and being immortal, enlightenment, longevity come up for most societies here, except for the Hindu one. That was the only one really that was inauspicious. And in the North American, or Native American Indians rather, they are the trumpeters or speakers for the clans, the symbol of independence, and a pair of good fortune and true love. Their call is unique and infrequent, and the red crane is rare, and this was coming up from worldbirds.com. They do a music dance with a perfect pitch. They are complementary duality, and immortality is attached to this. Complementary duality. Whereas compared to the monkey, who still has earthly ties, the crane is more immortal. So in Japan, the crane and the turtle together are even more longevity, where the crane is 1,000 years and the turtle is considered 10,000 years. Or Eastern and Buddhist, the crane and the pine tree for a long life. Each night they gather around their king in a circle. Some keep watch with the stone in their beak so they don't fall asleep on one leg. In flight, the departed soul who has passed recently always fly in a V-shaped formation, and the stronger birds let the weaker ones fly in the center. It's all about rebirth and transition, and in the Celtic societies, 1200 to 1000 BC symbol on weapons. It was placed literally on their weapons and helmets and coins and shields, seen as divine messengers. Present in air, water, and land, and miserly. The story of Fionuela and Ife, A-I-F-E, the evil sorceress stepmother, was cursed to be a crane on one leg while reaching out with one hand. Which was really interesting because I saw in my drawing, I was getting the energy of someone, you know, like if you're dancing at a wedding and you cross your arms to dance with the other people, it's that energy of reaching across yourself to hold hands with someone as opposed to the one next to you. So in Africa, the feathers on the crane's head are considered vitality and fire, but others may think of it as malice and betrayal. And it means the arrival of spring. National birds of Nigeria, Uganda, and South Africa is the blue crane as the national bird. They have a long beak and long legs. And herons and egrets are a similar family. Shy explorers, the cranes are, with grace in flight and dance, grace of the divine in a quest for knowledge. So lose yourself in beauty and dance and sing. They love big with their herds and are grateful for their companions as they fly in formation. 3 cranes, 3 women, or cheating was coming up there as well. Protecting the family, the condition of the home or the environment, balance and beauty, good vision and hearing. The message here is softness, grace, and contemplation, reflecting the inner wisdom. Seeing flying in dreams may mean that you need to have a reunion or relocate to a new place. So that was coming up all about the crane. And again, joined by crossed hands, and I was specifically getting Hava Nagila, I don't know why, but that was coming up. And then Karate Kid with the crane position. And again, the mitt, which represents the red hand, because that's one of the symbols in Egyptian alphabet. And there were some other Egyptian symbols that were coming up here, like the H symbols and the slope, which is the Q or the K. So again, it was all about the bird, that bird symbol, which means EU in the Sundanese language. And EU means egg or one or past au revoir or goodbye. I, bravo, shine, sun, moon, and stars in Japan as well. The U, E-W-E, wood, ego, self, and anvil, which is a tool to break things on because it's hard metal, but it looks like an iron, a big iron, with a big base on it. And the energy of the egg cracked open, the little holy grail, you with connections, the quote-unquote crown prince, and the Dalai Lama all coming up right here at 111. They're considered wading birds along with the ibis, which is a reference to Thoth, the crane, the egrets, and herons, but they are separate groups now. Storks and flamingos all have their own thing. The cranes are considered omnivores, whereas the ibis are more carnivores. But when I read other sites that said what they eat, they really both eat the same things. It's just the ibis is more prone to eat like meat and fish, but cranes eat meat and fish too. It's kind of weird because both of them eat both, but ibis is considered more carnivore. So there's a lot of comparison between the two. The cranes are considered 2.5 million years old, but the ibis is considered 60 million years old, with red legs and quiet, but they're both considered shy. But the cranes are redheads, whereas the ibis are red legs. And the cranes are long, they live longer on average. And one crane lived up to 83 years in the USA. It was a Siberian crane. The crane mates for life. Unless breeding fails, they may break up. It doesn't mean they will, but they could. But it's not typical. The ibis are monogamous for each breeding season. Some stay years with one, but others may have more than one in a season. The crane sleeps standing. The ibis, they sleep in colonies in the trees. And the page just ripped out. There's a page ripped out of history, so something's changing about that. So now we're getting to your read, number 2. If you pick number 2 at 102, this is you. Oh, sorry, I'm hitting the wrong thing. To clear the page. Okay. So this is a 3-deck read. We have the Wild Unknown Animal Guidebook at the top, the half deck, and then my combined deck of the Lenormand and Kipper. Okay. All right, so this one was done on the second at 202, 3, and 6. The 2 of the Divine Feminine, the Higher Self, and the 2 of, again, of the High Priestess or Higher Self of the Divine Feminine, the 3 of the Empress, and the 6 of the Lovers or Love, Family, and Community. And the cards at the end were 4, 4, and 4, or 4, 7, and 4, which was coming up as 4 to 7 and 4 to 4. And that came up with when I was getting information on the Eagles game, so that might be coming up as something regarding the Super Bowl, 4 to 7 and 4 to 4. So 444 is the angelic realms, but I also looked it up in Gematria, which said blue check incoming. And Eosus, the second coming. It was I-E-S-O-U-S, the second coming. I am the chosen one, the time has come, and then the Galactic Federation also came up. With 474, remember, remember, let there be light came up. The underlying energy for you is the Elk and the 6 of Cups and the 25 of High Honor. The 25 is the Knight of Wands. And this was at 211. Just give me 1 second to get a sip of my water here. Sorry about that. Went down the wrong way. All right, so high honor, the Knight of Wands at 211, which is the divine feminine and justice or alignment, truth and balance. The hothead with red on their cap, some with and some without. He has thought long and hard as the elk in a group, but is he actually a moose? The difference between them is elks are in groups, but the moose tend to be in twos, or even by themselves at times. As the Six of Cups boy with a red hat on offers his cup to the little girl with the orange wrap and white glove or mitt that matches the flowers he brings. His blue coat matches her blue skirt. Or did she bring flowers to his post and he's just appreciating what she's brought with some fresh baked goods perhaps? As the Knight of Wands, or 2 to 5, the higher self and the Hierophant, where you realize 2 and 5 reflect each other perfectly in squared digits. In the 25 or 3-gun salute here, or cannonball run, as the Knight of Wands takes off. I'm still a little bit choked up, so that may be a message for you. With 3 cannons, 9 men, and 3 with red hats, 6 without, black, and all with gold ring, in a major honor ring, or call, after tiger approach the crocodile and peacock, at 219, the feminine and the sun, the scorpion with their stinger out, shocks or jumps, making the worm nervous, and the eagle to jump or kickoff time. As the eagle dives right in again, with stingray activated and plugged in to phoenix ready to rise or rising. The eagle performs their love dance, diving and rising over and over again, to bring the unicorn with a bird's eye view, or their third eye open, with the camel in tow and cobra at high alert, enlightened. And it sounds like, a guy talking about a woman running in the cold weather with her pants too tight. So again, in the love dance, diving and rising as the eagle does, over and over again, to bring the unicorn with her third eye open and camel in tow and cobra at high alert, enlightened as the elk surprises them to warm them up, to take off the chill with moose in their hair, or maybe they're annoying them. At 227, the divine feminine and the Ace of Wands, the fish out of water at the hot moon, clammed up with feelers out, as the seal is broken, unable to catch up with their tail, or their lives have caught up with them. The sacral is sacred, sack red, Saint Claus, with gifts to bring. Where 2 and 2 cards came up then at 231, the feminine and the group, or perhaps the conflict of the all. The truth, the black egg or black sheep at the crossroads, where the beaver's hard-working and gives a damn, is caught in the web at the intersection, the solar plexus of quantum entanglement, and the sacral throat, but missing the heart. Too close, needing to see from a distance or back up to see the whole picture, right? So they're looking at it from too close and they need to step back. They're not seeing the heart. They're in their solar plexus and with confidence and perhaps talking a good game, but they're missing the heart here at the intersection. So at 233, the feminine or higher self and the Christ vibration, or standing up for oneself, the underlying energy is the Knight of Cups and the Page of Wands, connecting with the Page of Swords and the Page of Cups. While the Queen of Wands and the King of Swords, with dirty looks from the wounded warrior who's now free to roam, with the Queen of Cups and the Six of Cups kids, or perhaps that's the Queen of Cups with their soulmate, or the Queen of Wands sees them coming and jumps in front of the King of Swords so he won't see her going by, or so he won't see that the Queen of Cups is free to be with them, and the Knight of Cups is coming for the Queen of Cups so that they can be the Six of Cups together. Or the Knight of Cups asks the Page of Swords and the Page of Cups out, or asking one of them out, and receives a reply. But the Queen of Wands may not be happy with the King of Swords when he reads or reacts to seeing the Queen of Cups and catches up with them. Or the Queen of Cups with kids or he can feel her sending her love. And as they see them go by, at 240 is the Divine Feminine and the Page of Cups, which can be that Queen of Cups and Page of Cups energy together of mother and child. They could be sisters, they could be two water signs, or someone with their pet as well. But the Hermit sheds light on a pushy mother here, down below. The Icy Bear or Capricorn of the Ten of Wands Atlas energy, or burdened, carrying the weight of the world, which then lowers their vibration as the Hermit's world is complete, the Divine Feminine with wise counsel, or Virgo and Pisces soulmates making their appointed rounds, and the Knight of Wands approaching, rushing in away from the Queen of Pentacles, or the Queen of Pentacles jumping the gun, or her fiery, passionate side comes out to play, or bringing the kids or pets together to play around the neighborhood. So the Queen of Pentacles here goes back while the King of Pentacles and Queen of Swords travel or move, or in a bold move to back her up as she speaks or presents here. Justice of the Page of Pentacles with an opportunity or invite to be lovers or to give affection, or the Queen of Pentacles Cancer or with Cancer, and the King of Pentacles with the Queen of Swords or Libra, or Cancer and Libra with an opportunity to love, or in court with Gemini, or both Cancer and Libra are looking at the Queen of Swords as a lover. So the Queen of Pentacles could be off to the races, and there could be some competition here for someone. And this could be competing for the same woman. So it could be off to the races, or a jog around the block, or checking in on Capricorn, or Cappy Queen of Pentacles drops in on Virgo and Pisces unexpectedly, or two driving to court separately. At 252 is the Divine Feminine and the Queen of Swords, as the Queen of Cups is nesting the dream, the storks, the cranes, and the ibises with golden egg looking up. The elk is watching, realizing that they're actually a moose like them. And the 21 of the family room that's empty or complete, with Aquarius and or Pisces socializing outside or home, or now can. With 21 and 12, both Pisces energies to me, or at the group meeting, place, or birdhouse, or heard it through the grapevine, as Pisces and or Capricorn is hanging out at home, outside, or working at home. The 38 of the Queen of Cups is working hard, while others socialize, not being honored by groups, or working to honor the Knight of Wands. And then the Nat showed up of Unforgettable at 2:59, the Divine Feminine or Higher Self, and the 11th hour of 59, or the Five of Swords of the fight. So the Knight of Wands or the Queen of Cups may be working behind the scenes, holding the fort down, while the men on the front lines, or group gift or surprise party for the child. So at 302 of the Empress and the High Priestess, or perhaps space between the group and the feminine, or two, the first card out here is the 15 of the Devil and the Polar Bear with the 10 of Wands and the weight of the world coming out of icy water or a very cold place to warm up with the main female with Sagittarius, Capricorn, and Pisces, or Divine Feminine or Higher Self here. The Knight of Wands, Queen of Wands, and Page of Cups, or Capricorn and Pisces, are reflecting in fire, or bringing the Knight of Wands and the Queen of Wands together, or a new friend, as Alexa speaks up. At 40, with 42, 14, and 39, which is the Two of Cups, Patience of the Temperance card, with direction, to Justice of Liberty, as Sagittarius Fox takes off or leaves the hen house for the Knight of Cups community, again, or cheers if someone goes to the bar on a regular basis. But inspired by great fortune, an award or gold, the Page of Wands. Also the couple where she stayed home to support his dreams and now is going to get honored leaving her behind, or can't take them with them, as Sagittarius is looking back at Pisces or Higher Self, and the Divine Feminine with a pushy mother right behind them, or stage mother, pushing daughter into a place she may not want to go, or a son taking off to places unknown, or Sagittarius staying and helping the pushy mother to honor Pisces, but then taking off at 3:14, which is Pi, and my Pisces daughter's birthday, perhaps a big family dinner for Aquarius or Pisces, or both in their chart. Later, it could be a birthday that's coming this month, but may but some parties who would rather not be in the same room together are being brought together in this birthday party. This could also be a Valentine's proposal. We have Valentine's Day coming up, and then 318, a performance perhaps. And 3 is the Empress, 18 is the moon and the full moon right now. So that's your read. So now we're going into number 3. All right, so this is read number 3. And these decks are Journey of Love at the top, and then the Wild Unknown Animal Guidebook, the half deck of Rider-Waite, which is the characters, and then my mixed deck of LENORMAND, Reverie, and the KIPPER deck. So here's a little bit closer so you can see them better. Okay, so again, this is number 3 if you picked 3. And so there's just a couple messages on this one prior to the read. And this was on the 3rd. So there was definitely some perhaps sibling rivalry, and it doesn't even have to be rivalry, but just, perhaps secret things that people may have resented about each other or were jealous of each other, of a sister or brother. That may have come up. And or the way your parents treated you differently. Were you envious or jealous of the way you were treated? Or maybe you didn't feel specifically envious or jealousy, but maybe something about that is coming up right now that you didn't even realize. And then I got really nauseous when some of this stuff was coming up. And it was like I had a massage last week. And there was one point in the massage around my rib cages where I was getting really nauseous. And there was this energy of the stress in the heart, the lungs, and the solar plexus all at the same time. And that same feeling came up where, you feel like you need to put your head in your lap. So I did. And there was a lot of green and blue light coming up. But it wasn't green-blue color. It was green and blue together, but they're all separate. I could literally see the pieces of green and the pieces of blue that were separate. But they were intermingling. And the blue and the green is the throat and the heart chakra. So the lungs and the heart and heaviness within them. And then back to the inner child. And perhaps feeling like you're made of stone. So coming up as being seen as a statue. Or being stone cold. And again, the energy of Mona Lisa came up, and the misses. MMR, so measles, mumps, rubella came up, or a vaccine. And the energy of being unisex in some way. Right? Having both parts, being able to do it yourself. So myrrh came up as well. But, both MUR, or all three actually, MUR, MER, and MAR all come up with C as a definition for them. So the ocean and emotions coming up big time here. But also the horse comes up here, and a lot of sorrow, the mouse and the rat, the wall, the mulberry and the blackberry, and the mythical creature who feeds on people's blood while they're asleep is the Mora, the default. And the monkey also came up. And the monkey was compared to the crane, that the crane was more spiritual than the monkey because they still were grounded on the earth. And the copycat, a cake, the Easter round cake garnished without eggs is a Mona. Money, cash, fertile, rich. The C word, which that came up under Mona as well, surprisingly, as well as idiot, silly, dupe, moon, and sky. Wisdom, silence, self-possession, be sweet, pudding, rag doll, puppet, vagina, woman, blonde woman perhaps, head, and goat lacking one horn, annoyed or grease. So that's all coming up for Mona. And so Mona Lisa, and I was getting the spelling with a Z, a monkey, a stupid sweet blonde woman, or the C word, lacking one horn, a battle or joust, a fight, the battle of tongues or wits, taking a licking and keep on ticking. And also Liza means complement, right? That perfect complement. And also came up as to lick each other or making out. So your read started at 1150 to 52, which is the 10 of Cups and then the King of Swords and the Queen of Swords. And the numbers that came up at the end of the piles were 2343 and 23168, as the King of Wands with the Emperor and the Empress, or the King of Wands comes together with the High Priest and the Empress too, or the King of Wands or the High Priestess and Empress in a sudden event to be strong, or the Magic Page of Pentacles child or opportunity is here to learn. Both sets turned over. So there could be a surprise here as well. At 1156 is the underlying energy of the 53 in the Legacy of Light, and the 8 of the Octopus and the Page of Wands, the 10 of the Page of Pentacles and the Scythe, the Knight of Swords with Light and Love, or Sleeping Bag and Sad One under their arm, the Legacy, the Dance of Lightness, the Butterflies and the Cranes, the October Opus of Octo 8 and Burr as in October, the Bow and the Arrow, the Dance of the Bow and Arrow, or the Arc and the Pointer, the Bridge that's sharp, the Nose and Hand, the Bridge and Directions, the Sharp Nose, the Arc with Hand, the Show is over, take a bow or a bow, the two-part act of hitting the target, the Tar, which is the throne, to get, and the throne is the high road of one. So complements that merge into oneness. The Cranes and Butterflies, dancing dreamers in need of direction, support one who can carry their weight. The Grounder and the Flyer, cheerleading, so important to have one who won't drop you, or the Flyer who won't kick you in the face. Faith and Resonance, perfect complements, bat and ball, sword and stone, those who fit together naturally like rhythm and blues, or the Happy Dance, the Green Mile. Flipping that frown or clown or coin or Kohan upside down. Inside out without a doubt or pout. And then February, which we're in now, is the FE of iron and the brewery. So the iron brewery, or the Valentines in the melting pot, a reason to drink too much, to take off the edge, to polish the metal perhaps. It's been so cold, a need to warm up and step in or out of the cold as preparations are going on beneath the surface. So the surface is the south face, the south pole. The south, sour, acidic, and pleasant buzz concerning the southern or cardinal direction, or direct connection. The territory or region. A cheese wall. And a bastion rock, rampart. Mr. Sir and bad temper. Sulking, cold, and unpleasant. Bitter, thief, ash, gray, gloomy, stern, scowling, sullen, wet blanket, or city wall. A direct connect from the cardinals to the South Pole. What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. So save tomorrow for tomorrow. Think about today instead. So the energy there was, what's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. Why do you want to know? Don't you mind about the future? No time to think ahead. I can't remember the words, but save tomorrow for tomorrow. Think about today instead. So that's Jesus talking in the marketplace. So the Jesus wall, the cheese, there's a message there. The cheese wall sculpture that was destroyed by the contractors building the wall in San Diego. The Italian-Canadian who built an art wall of cheese bricks in protest of the Trump wall, that he had rights to this land in San Diego. And this was from Reuters.com, Reuters.com. He sued SLS Co. and Ultimate Concrete in 2020 for bulldozing his wall. It was ultimately going to be 1,000 feet long. He had started in 2018, and May 18th, 22, they settled the lawsuit, but they didn't say what actually happened. I'm sure it was the company's way of shutting him down. But he had rights, they had no rights to come on that land and bulldoze the wall down. Yeah, it's just unbelievable what people are allowed to get away with. And I felt that way in the movie I told you to watch too. Because when their sex tape got out, it was stolen from their home. And the courts let them go on selling their stolen property to make, like, tons of money. And they never made any money off of it. It wasn't something they wanted out in the public. Anyway, but there's that injustice energy, major injustice going on here. At 12:31, the Knight of Swords and JC in the marketplace, a superstar trying to douse the gossip and the need to know basis and all that jazz. Don't waste a beautiful mind, he says. Stay right here in life's work of the Crazy Eight's dance, swirling, twirling, and shifting in the do-si-do. Fashion, or fash connection, which fash means confusion and shame and worry and annoyance. A fascist or far right, to trouble oneself or disdain. So why worry about trends when others are wearing, when you should just wear you, your inspiration, your destiny, and high vibe discerning with the Page of Pentacles cutting out the extra? Or do they see the Page of Wands as extra? The Knight of Swords with the Page of Wands, Page of Cups, and Page of Pentacles, so a lot of young kids here, with Libra, Scorpio, Pisces, and fire, or perhaps lots of messages as well. And the department head putting kids, or at least the Page of Wands, to work in the yard or the fields, or camping out, or teaching kids how to survive in the wilderness. At 12:41, the Hanging Man and the Ace of Cups, the Holy Grail, the underlying energy of the sensual awakening of the lovers, of 64 and 57, of painstaking separation, and the bliss of healing. The 34 of the Eight of Wands, an energetic exchange becoming, and the 37 of the King of Cups, of fire and ice, polarizing to sword and charge. As they come at each other with a running start, polarizing and then centering and seeing the light. The sun, whether cold or hot, and the 15, the mother prays, the mantis being with tough love and their shadow side. She prays, but she also bites their head off. An energetic exchange between mother and son, between shadow and light, and shirt and bite, or the shift in the bite. The lover's arrows of love and unconditional love, and the mother unconditionally codependent on her son's legacy of light, polarizing to dark and light, dark shadows, and the messenger of truth. At 12:48, the Hanging Man and the Eight of Cups of walking away within is the 22 of the Fool and the Fool's journey with an open heart, loving all that is as the Fool with open heart and arms, holding space. As 21, she is the moon, full and whole, reflecting light, contrasting against the dark night sky in violet, accenting the 0-point field, the direction on where to go. And is that white spot a place or a whole? She is holding white to silver. He is holding white silver to gold. A sliver of white and gold light to have and to hold from this point forward and backward, and every which way but loose. The Knight of Swords is free and whole, leaping to other worlds at 12:54. The Hanging Man and the Page of Swords are message. As discovering new messages to deliver. The 68 of the Page of Pentacles dropping into your heart. With the Knight of Cups, let the feminine lead the way to the cloak, or perhaps to the cloakroom. And someone was just saying that. I think that was in what's the new series called on Netflix with the medical center? They were talking about how the director is talking to his wife who's now pregnant and talking about how they can't do it in the coat room again this year. But that was coming up. Okay, so the Knight of Cups, let the feminine lead the way to the cloak. And the 50 of the 10 of Cups family of happiness energetically protects and soothes even when you're alone. So again, that cloaking of that happy family who you know is always there. At 12:57, I was getting, here he comes, walking down the street. So I wasn't getting here they come, I was getting here he comes walking down the street. As the Bengal tiger stalks, the crocodile and peacock ladies in wait, one with more scales, the other with more plumage. As the crow stands guard, or is this one at the North Pole causing havoc with the department far and wide, tapping into the main frame of the octopus teacher? At 102, with space between the masculine and the feminine, or the gate holder for the under-ocean arcs here, the dark ocean water, with brain going 24 hours a day. So that can reference the arcs at the bottom of the sea, because there's many of them around the world, and also can reference CERN underground. But the elk and the moose, who's now moose and bat, crouching tiger playing hide and seek. Source, tiger, or angry smoking, 3, or stemming from anger and smoking, the anger. The throne of 3, or the empress's throne, which remembers the high road of 1, and the tiger trying to get to the octopus with the crow on guard, with croc and peacock trying to get their attention. And then CRO came up, which is a contract research organization, but also coming up was bro, pot, hook, and fish hook. So somebody could be dealing with a brother or getting high, dealing with a hook or being the hook, and the fish hook. The top dog or sourcing a top CRO or pico CRO came up as well. Brother, pot, or marijuana, or a hookup, or hook to catch the fish. So this could be bait and catch at 111. So hook, line, and sink her. Octopus teach her at 112, which is the divine masculine and the hanging man. And the first card out here is the innocent, curious otter about the cosmic egg, the collective awakening and its crowning, or curious about a nest and an egg with a cheetah ready to pounce if they touch it. The Knight of Swords keeping tabs on the little ones to keep them out of this kind of trouble. The cheetah is sent in with fox and buffalo watching as the hawk takes off to clear the way forward, or clears the airwaves. As the Page of Wands and the Page of Pentacles and Knight of Cups both coming in for the crown, or the Page of Wands and the Knight of Cups are coming in for the Page of Pentacles, or is that Aries and Libra and Taurus or Sag or Aries cheetah coming in for Pisces Page of Pentacles wanting their crown or a passionate commitment? So at 121 is the masculine and the world, and the magician world, or divine feminine and masculine, traveling, moving, or ascending fast. Or Gemini, Virgo, and Pisces and Cancer here with the King of Pentacles, or going to see the King of Pentacles and the Queen of Swords, or Virgo man and Gemini woman, to see the Dark Knight get to the High Priestess, Queen of Wands setting. Or are they, the High Priestess and Queen of Wands, getting the Queen of Cups there, or free? Or Scorpio, Pisces, or Virgo, or Aries, and the Queen of Cups is with the kids, or codependency with kids, or Capricorn sister and or Aries, maybe stressed and not sleeping, or suffering in silence, or just purging it out. And flips forward to offer love and inspiration, or with the Knight of Cups and Page of Wands inspired to justice, or by curious Libra. Justice of the Page of Wands and Page of Pentacles as the Two of Cups connecting, and the Page of Swords messaging for the King of Swords with the wounded warrior defensive lover or Gemini or twin as the Knight of Pentacles has a practical offer. The Empress with a loving message back to them, or with child or pet, and the Sovereign Knight of Pentacles and Sovereign Nine of Cups come together side by side as twins, or to choose a path. There could be a jealous Taurus or Saggy here as well. The Knight of Swords charges in from the Emperor with advisor, or Aries and Virgo there. The Knight of Wands from the Queen of Pentacles with King of Cups, or both the Knight of Swords and the Knight of Wands are trying to beat each other to the punch, or to get there before the other. And again, that could be competing over a person or a position perhaps. So then at 144 is the underlying energy of the 22 of the official and the 27 of the Seven of Swords letter, the 26 of the 10 of Pentacles, family, business, or community, journal, or safe, and the 11 of the sudden wealth, of the 36, the Atlas, the 10 of Wands, distant horizons, and the 40 of Page of Cups, innocence in three faces, the 16 of the Star with the 6 of Cups, and the 10 of the Page of Pentacles, to decipher. So after the Thief and powers that be are exposed, or Leo, embalmer, mortician, or doctor and patient, or death and funeral, of an official person perhaps, or in opening a letter, or inspired by a letter, or a speech. To seal now, or a seal that can now be broken, to the 10 of Pentacles, family, business, or community, secrets, or Aries inspired to crack a safe, or find a letter or a will, or break into someone's diary or journal entries, books, or antiques, or treasure hunting to align with sudden wealth or hit the jackpot, with Aries and Libra here, or July timing when the North Node changes to Aries and the South Node to Libra, or planning to pull up anchor and set sail or fly if needed, destination unknown at that time. With the Page of Cups and the multiple faces of vulnerability, or three faces of Eve, you can check out any time you like, but you can never leave. As the innocent children of double diamond star, a sudden supernova event, and seeing your way to the door to get through the smoke and mirrors, to separate the wheat from the chaff and discern, and be the high vibe Page of Pentacles, student of life, as you learn. At 156, the Magician or Divine Masculine, and the 56 of the Two of Swords, the 22 of the Queen of Pentacles on the Fool's Journey, with choice of path, but the red carpet, like the buck, stops here in the middle. The Knight of Wands with the passion to commit, a double wide or staircase, and proposal of gold coin or crown jewels, that she is the moon, the holy grail, the seed and the egg that complement. As the family tree is clearing the trunk, the Page of Pentacles and the Knight of Cups together got spunk, or motivating each other to clear everything out. The Hierophant, religion, establishment, or Taurus, quote-unquote clearinghouse, all must go, as the Knight of Wands and Knight of Swords rush in to get it first. 3 cards here, with the 2 of the 6 of Pentacles and a lucky wish, the High Priestess or 2 sharing their good fortune, and the main male number 1 with the 13 of the wealthy man in transition, or Scorpio. Or an inheritance, distribution, honoring the child, the Page of Swords, or with a message, the Knight of Wands in transition, or Sagittarius and Scorpio, the Divine Feminine and Masculine, or Pisces, Gemini, or Virgo, 2, and the 32 in a journey of despair, or the pair, and the King of Wands, 23, to the courthouse with papers, or reflecting what has to happen, or what has happened, as the 3 of Wands, 29, and the Power Lady being present here in the moment, with the truth and watching out for their arrival, or my son the lawyer, my son the doctor, coming home after a long journey, salute or farewell, or leaving a partnership with a lot of red tape. At 211, the feminine higher self, or justice, truth and balance and alignment. So that is your reading. Okay, so now we have read number 4. Is this number 4? Yeah. Okay, so this is read number 4. So there's one more after this of this kind of read. So if you pick number 4, this is yours. Okay, looks like we have 5 decks in this one. The top deck there is Shaman Dreams, and then Nature's Whispers, and then the Wild Unknown Animal Guidebook, the half deck of the Shaman, the half deck of Rider-Waite, but just the people, and then my mixed deck of the Lenormand, Reverie, and the Kipper deck at the bottom. So I'll pull them in a little bit so you can see the pictures better. Okay, and this is your read. I'm going to hit my bowl just once, just to clear the energies a little bit. All right, so just a little bit of message prior to your read. This was on the 4th. And if you haven't checked out Tara Arnold, you might want to check her out. She's an RN who's now channeling, and she channels mostly Saint Germain. but some really good and practical messages come up with her. Yeah. And again, a reminder to wake up each day and say happy birthday to yourself. And that 10-4 is message received. At 10:52 is the Queen of Swords and destined. And then Baba Wawa came up. So Barbara Walters, but also Barbara, the name, and then the RN's coming up. A warm RN came up here. As well as Maimon and Mormon came up, as well as the Woman's Room, and Ursinus, Sister, the Goat, Danger, Gray Hair and Clothes, as well as Vision. Iron was significant here, which I think Iron came up again today. Surprise, so surprise parties could be coming up as well. Acknowledgement, receiving acknowledgement. Oopsies, nonsense, dog, home, and house, as well as like goods, commodities, to be careful, beware of, how to handle commodities and being careful. The bear, covered in stiff bristles, like caterpillars, is the energy of the bear, and Ursine coming up here. And then catkin, which means little cat, came up, as well as non-flower flower, right? So those are those little fuzzy flowers that look like velvet, those little white, like they look like just buds, but they're actually the full flower, but they stay close to the stem, like velvet. They came up. To throw, cast, lay eggs, guess, and calculate. Perhaps constipation could be coming up as well. So, and that was at 11:11. At the end there, Wu also came up, the Chinese shaman of 2 and 5, which is 25, the Knight of Wands. And those are the only two numbers that literally reflect each other either way. Fruit, hair, the pig, we with, to carry on your shoulder, the home office, the workshop. And then -U came up, which I didn't know what it meant in the symbolism. But then as I looked at the definition of a word I was looking at in Wiktionary, it literally had the -U. In this description of the word woe, W-O-U-G-H, and Inyola, Y-O-L-A, from looking up woo, the final silent -GH was added to avoid -U. So literally -U came up, which was a symbol that came up that I was trying to figure out. And it's, the messages always come through. So -U is representing an avoidance. So to avoid you, Ev, shaman, or the divine feminine shaman, and again, Evie kept coming up, but whenever they bring up my name, it's representing the divine feminine message. The OU of the feminine of 2 and 5, and the fruit and the hair, that we are shaman, to beware of the bear and the catkin, the little one, to throw non-flower, which was really weird because Jenna had bought some flowers to do pictures with, and Teddy had kind of destroyed them afterward, leaving, rose leaves all over the place. And he had taken off the thorns. He ate them to protect her from them. And then it becomes more like a catkin stalk, with no flowers on it. It was really interesting how that came out. So your read, as I showed you, the piles at the end were 2, 1, 2, 3, 1. And you can look this one up. A number this big doesn't usually have an entry in Gematria, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, but this one did. There was one entry, and it was very long, so if you want to look it up and read it, you may. 212 and 171 are also coming up, and I looked up 2121, which was the first part of 212171, and the first entry was Sioux City, Iowa. The fourth entry was the Holy Army is escorting the king to his bride. The fifth entry was 20 years. The sixth was the survivor is. 7 was because I love you so much. 8 was saw you man, U-M-A-N. Car Viking. So human and king really stood out to me there. And the 11th entry was 249 and Mark Allen King. So King came up 3 times in these entries. 2123, the first entry was December 24th, which is the night before Christmas. So that's significant, like the 11th hour. And so I looked up human because it was similar to another word I was looking up. And human is woman, female, wife, chicken, flea, tongue lashing, but basically human. The human being, the man, humane, wise and smart. And it was coming up as you, divine feminine, are human, wise woman, man, humane. The hue is to discern, find, water, fence post, pole, penis, stake, stilt, eye, mind, inclination, and sympathy, expression of eeriness, horror, or very strong emotion. This is all HU of human. Wow, exclamation of feeling cold. The owl sound of the hoot. The woo, she, hoot, and howl. And the commotion or racket, the female, hide, pelt, and steam. So humane basically comes up as I, mane, which mane, of course, is what the hair around the horse or a lion's mane. But the hue is also to see and to discern the mane, but mane also means manu, which is the perfected man. I, the perfected man. The neck of the horse and the lion, and the long thick hair are part of the naval sword between the tang button and the kilion, which is the guard to protect the hand, or the rod and the staff energy of the bar that protects your hand from the sword, and quote unquote to the hilt, or all the way in is like having sex and all the way in, or the sword going all the way back into its cover. The hilt, the handle, the grip, the guard, and the pommel, the base of the penis, and then again the mane. To admonish, lay, urge, conjure, exercise, by hand, egg, early in the morning. The moon, the sunshine, the moonlight, the month, mind, yonder, and hand. So again, the sword and the stone and humane is to see, to discern the manu, the perfected man. The eeriness, the coldness, the commotion, the need to know how. The water steaming, inclined to sympathy. Of the mane, the manu, the crown. Before sunrises in the moonlight. The dawning, extending a hand. Letting your hair down to conjure or exercise. The dressing or the icing on the cake, where it is darkest before the dawn. And there's all this energy about like naming the different parts of a sword here, the hilt and the tang, etc. So that feeling you get when you wake up before the sun, that's very cold and insecure and eerie, of doom until the sun comes to rescue us, to see the decoration and not just the tool. Your body is not just an instrument, but a thing of beauty. The perfected man, the manu. To see the hair protects, it connects and sheds the DNA, and the hair is an extension of the nervous system. It transmits to the brain and is believed to balance the entire electromagnetic field of your body to help increase your life force, vitality, and your intuition. And the keratin is much like crystal. And you're also advised to use a wooden comb here. So at 12:30, and I was just looking up, the relationship of hair to our spiritual connection. So at 12:38 is the Hanging Man and the Queen of Cups, the underlying energy of the 55 and the farther gate, the 17 of the infinite blessings, the cosmic egg, the 6 of Cups, which is 46, and the 24 of the thief. The truth of Excalibur and the farther gate, the edge of the stone where the sword stops going in, the butt plates, like on a human, like when you sit down or when you have sex, right? The buck stops here. The healing cold of the snowflakes, healing in dreams of infinite blessings spread across the land. The cave that is protected from the elements, seeing the mountain as the sword in the stone. The mountain is the sword in the planet. The hardest of elements on the earth, stabbing into the softer earth, as in snows, acts as a crowning stardust effect and protecting effect of the hair, or like the hair on the body. The Kundalini wrapped around the world, the egg. The Hydra you notice the Hydra, of course, is the snake constellation, but it's also the pinwheel plant with an oral opening surrounded with tentacles like the octopus, or dragon-like with many heads and the ability to regrow when maimed, and then Maimon comes up again. A multifarious problem that's not easily solved. The water snake or otter comes up here as the Hydra as well. And the otter is the most curious, beautiful, loving creature, right? Nothing negative about the otter that you would ever think of. And also the Hydra references the hydration of the sun, the watering of the sun. So Mammon, or Maimon, M-A-I-M-O-N, with the accent, comes up as the baboon, the mandrill, the monkey with the prehensile tail. And the Maimonide is the son of Maimon and Ben, or Eben, the Jewish philosopher, was coming up here. The Maim is the little one in Estonian. And the Mamu, again, there's the Manu, so it's M-A-I-M-U with 2 dots over the U, which means the past. But I was just getting the Manu, the perfected man, from that as well. The little one who was a thief in the past, hoarding sparkly things like a bird. And the sun, so you know when I've posted pictures before where I had my hand up in the air and literally you can see the sun's energy connecting with my finger? And I've posted a few of those. But that same energy was coming up here to the pinwheel, the sun connecting to humans and waterworks. So the watering of the snake to the sun, right? Because the sun's heat burns unless it's cooled down. The sword and the stardust on the stones that we are. The collective awakening to the 6 of Cups innocence that was stolen away from you by the inverted crown. The false sense of royalty or ranking one above another at 101, or the standoff of masculine to masculine with space between, and the underlying energies of the 37 of the King of Cups and the Magician's sword, and confidence in your magic, with 3 keys or tree keys, and gamma waves, and the alchemy of Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces as the 3 keys of alchemy. The goat, the water bearer, and the fish, which is the portal to the other side. Never giving up, but taking your time, as Capricorn and the goat, serving what serves humanity of mostly water, because we are made of water, like Aquarius, to cross the fishy, oily portal of plasma ether, stardust and breath of life, or plasma with your sharp, bright light, the 18 of the King of Cups Cancer and the land of the free eagle oracle, the eyes of the eagle, wide open and balanced, well-rounded, rising above the fray in the home of the brave. The U.S. and the natives, the eagles and the chiefs, the flyers and the grounders, the military and the shaman. The decorated for deep diving into uncharted territory, the 0 point field of high vibe destiny of unconditional love, of the Knight of Cups 39, in the Me Too talks of the shaman, wearing green and yellow, infiltrating in airlock, double gates, or a football field with writing on the wall and 2 suns. The eagles dive right into the water, but usually they just skim the surface as the chiefs take a bath enjoying the green and yellow colors in the desert at 116, the leap to the tower of sudden events. So at 117, the leap to the 17 of dreams coming true, and the 12 of the hanging man and seeing new perspectives, and the dragon's horde protecting the future. And again, working together as the grounder and flyer to put on a show. Here's the dragon's horde, or the seahorse dragon, protecting the future, curled up in a violet ball, seeing new perspectives. The 53 of the Knight of Swords is the curious stranger and a kiss from a rose. Seal coming up here with Navy SEALs and Hell Week death, and rescued seal returned to the ocean. As the Knight of Swords curious stranger, and otters and seals with laser hands and hot springs, curious to explore, the 61 of the whale's song resonating, regarding the deep sea plasma portals and golden plasma in hand, and the 31 in the hand as well. The universe is your partner. That connection when your hand and finger touches the sun. You may not usually notice it, but the sun is always connecting to everyone, including your littlest molecule or atom on your finger. So one card here is the 2 of the beloved with their heart on fire and radical acceptance. The divine feminine higher self and the masculine in the cave contemplating their hoard and what they could have in their hand instead, playing with plasma and ether, lasers and bubbles and hearts. At 131, the masculine and the conflict of the group, the underlying energy of the 47 of laughter, of the little avatars clowning around in the clouds, the 23 of the King of Wands, that you are worth it, your vision of her candles and flowers, and flowering horizon, and your ship coming in with a small boat on hand. The 8 of the breakthrough dance of the fairies and the butterflies with hearts open, wide, doing belly flops into the waves, leaping heart first. The 43 is love matters, birds fly in and open to new planes, talon to hand. The 38 of the Queen of Cups, acceptance of love, as the vines climb the tree, accepting their fixed nature, with healing and dreams come true, with infinite blessings, from base to crown, with the stop at the solar plexus at number 3. So 137 is the masculine and the King of Cups. The 45 is empowerment of hoarding to purge. The 29 of contemplation of presence with gifts, and the butterfly lioness. What if? And the 39 Knight of Cups with clear endeavor and blanketing of snow, fur, or Russian weather, as the ivy crawls up the back. A crack in the foundation causing stardust or bust to fall, and maybe there's a bust of a star that falls over. I hope not. But crack in a foundation caused the stardust to fall and awaken to all that is, and to be love. As one card falls here with the 16 of sudden inner truths of the little girl at the root with her canoe at her disposal, led by candlelight into a tunnel, or is that the Hall of Records at the root of the tree of light, the burning heart of the matter, of mind over matter, and keeping the little girl small at 144. The underlying energy of after the wound, the horse, fish, and otter, the eagle, snake, the elephant, scorpion, and the cosmic egg, which is the crown. After the wound, the horse, fish, and then the otter, the seal, the fish out of water, or the fish otter water, as Mr. Ed's kids are ungrounded and yet curious about eagles diving right in, looking to get their talons into the elephant. And remember from my meditation in the cosmic egg, in the harmonic egg, my first time I went to the harmonic egg, because I've done it 3 times now, one of the things I saw was the love relationship between a prehistoric bird and an elephant, and the only way they could show their love was to put their talon into their head and massage the elephant's head. But I was also getting energy of where a bird gets hurt and then the elephant family raises the bird, so they become very close, or vice versa, where the elephant gets hurt and the bird family raises the elephant. But there was this very loving energy between a huge bird and an elephant, with a collective world awakening between them. EA and L, and this can represent Enki and Enlil. But Ea and El came up here, and the love affair between them, the brothers, the flyers and the grounders, or troops on the ground, the snake between them, an energetic exchange, top down from the eagle's perspective. And did their father make them very competitive when they were young, even though they're very elevated in status or spirituality now? The eagle is clearing with one dive, and elephant with one step, keeping their flame in their trunk, as the hyena and scorpion are pushed to join the ground crew in a collective awakening of the crown. The innocents flying straight in from source, as the elders guide those on the ground to join up, or those with attitude getting tutored 1-to-1 or 1-to-2, as the horse foe, gleeful Saturday night, with Ellie high score and a key L'Enfant or breath. High scoring or higher self cosmic egg, or back to high school here with the whale and the oyster at 2 o'clock. Double zeros of source energy backing up the 2. And the wailing oyster clammed up, needing a lifeline and putting feelers out, or perhaps their hair on end. What? Oi, in the urgent path, as the cobra stands at attention, keeping an eye on things. With 2 cards here, the tarantula and the bear and the beaver, with Tara and bear, the crossroads and the dam, or working hard at an intersection. As at the same time, Teddy was watching out the window at the mailman, and we were hearing like some kind of machines in the street as well. The tilts around the tang, or the racket handle being rewrapped. At 2:38, the feminine and the Queen of Cups. Perhaps this is when I left the house walking with Teddy, and I found out that he had scuffed up all my boots, chewing them and probably clawing at them. And then he knocks my house sign right off the post as we went out for a walk. That was yesterday. I'm like, really? And then I got his poop on my hand. It was just one of those days. So the whale struggling in dark energies, as the oyster is more covered up, or with fur, right? Like animals have fur to keep them warmer, or they have a shell sometimes. But look out for landmines or poops at crossroads, dams and woods. Beaver requires long-term effort and or selfless service. Happy, meaningful work, perhaps some physical labor is called for here, and this is stuff coming from the book, from A Wild Unknown Animal Guidebook. So a decision is being called to be made here, following your life's purpose, your intuition, your dharma. And if hesitating or over-intellectualizing, you're being called to do daily journaling. So at 2:48, the justice of an invite around the neighborhood or world, taking a pet for a walk or a drive, but perhaps one is overexcited and one is annoyed, or things are just not going their way as things break or plans get ruined. With Libra, Pisces, Cancer, Sag connecting 1 to 1, with Sovereign and Empress or mother and daughter, and King of Pentacles or kids coming home to see their parent or parents. The King of Pentacles to witness the Queen of Swords making magic, or present the magician, or presenting a manifestation of unconditional love, and introducing Virgo or Gemini to the King of Cups and the Page of Cups and the Queen of Cups with the Six of Cups, or 2 families reuniting here or mediating, or this could be a homecoming as well. Or the Page of Pentacles comes full circle just to be greeted by a wounded warrior or the black sheep of the family who's really guarded here. It's like they're guarding their one-on-one time with the family, not wanting to give it up. This is the Pentacles, like the Montagues family here. So here is this energy of the black sheep of the family not having this other sibling come home and destroying their one-on-one time with the family. Maybe they always choose that one over them. Or there's a court appearance with the King of Cups, Page of Cups, Queen of Cups, or Six of Cups, or the Montagues and Capulets or families meet here. The truth of dreams and cosmic egg, the Kundalini rising and the crown opening up, or the Six of Cups inner children and the Queen of Wands thief, or her little thief, or the one that got away. So at 3:04 is the Dark Knight and the High Priestess, or death of a religious affiliation, or Dark Knight bathing traditional religious leader, or the Dark Knight is battling with a traditional religious leader to be with their own alternative views, or to be with a person who's not of their views. Or Dark Knight and his higher self as guidance, with temptation lurking, and Dark Knight tired of trying to get them to come out of their shell, putting their feelers out or their hairs on end when Dark Knight is near, with ball and chain that may be scouting or spying, or is that your neighbor spying? Saying hello or waving goodbye, or Capricorn addiction trying to tempt the Emperor to their side or way, or distract him from a lover or moving on, or in service, or Gemini or twin humbling themselves. satisfied to have another make choices and step up to the plate or message, or this is the Emperor tempted to arrogance of others making the effort in projects or answering all their messages, and when they don't sleep or suffering in silence or stressed out, the Hermit to advise or heal them, and the Knight of Wands rushing back on the Knight of Swords' call, or taking some of his own advice and taking the message or delivery himself, as the Knight of Wands and Knight of Swords, or Emperor and King of Swords race for the finish line or to get there first, with fire and air, perhaps brothers who have been competing all their life, as the Queen of Wands is set free, or she is an Aries and or Capricorn, leaving the King of Wands and the King of Swords, with the Knight of Cups and the Page of Wands, with the Queen of Pentacles, with the Knight of Wands, the King of Swords, the Knight of Swords, who are not far behind them to meet up. So I'm sorry, that was the King of Wands is with the Knight of Wands and the Knight of Cups. So there's two knights with him. And then the Queen of Pentacles with the Knight of Wands, King of Swords, and the Knight of Swords not far behind to meet up with them. So you have Scorpio, Pisces, Capricorn, Virgo, Aries, and Gemini there, or here. But any sign can be present because you have all court cards there. So the Queen of Wands is parting from the fire family, and the King of Wands is now with the Queen of Pentacles, who wasn't present with the Earth family, the Nine of Pentacles, Empress, and King of Pentacles, where the wounded warrior or Sagittarius didn't fit in. Perhaps Gemini, Page of Swords, and Virgo is King of Swords, and both Emperor and the Queen of Wands could be Aries energy, or is the Emperor the Capricorn, or butting heads with them, or Gemini perhaps is a hard worker. Both the Dark Knight and the High Priestess can be shy or profound and wise, purging to empower and wonder why, as the Devil clearly has their head in this freezing cold weather. Big Brother and the Queen of Wands could be trying to steal from them, or dividing and conquering to steal from multiple families here, or stealing hearts for their jar, or jar of hearts. The Queen of Wands freed and the King of Wands held back by the Knight of Wands with advice from the King of Swords, sending in the Knight of Swords cavalry, with the Knight of Wands to help instead, with the Knight of Cups and the Page of Wands and the Queen of Pentacles, or the Knight of Cups with their hand in this. The Knight of Cups has their hand in this as well, inspired by the Queen of Pentacles, Capricorn, or if a grandmother, perhaps it's a Taurus at 339, the Empress and the Knight of Cups. Or Gemini and Capricorn and or Aries could be brother and sister team, perhaps trying to scam people and literally breaking up, even marrying other people for their money and then coming back together. And that could be like, a brother and sister who grew up with nothing and decided to team up and do this for themselves. Gymnastics was coming up too, like names of people from my gymnastics team when I was young were coming up. So that might be a message for someone. So at 341 is the Empress and the Ace of Cups, the Holy Grail, the underlying energy of the family honoring, the ceremony or salute, perhaps Taurus, Knight of Wands, or Knight of Wands freedom or graduation here, Scorpio or man with sudden thoughts of a woman, and the two of the main female, the Divine Feminine or Pisces, or Scorpio and Pisces here, destined to decipher, or to a high vibe study here, or high vibe studies. This could be someone going on for their master's or their doctorate, that kind of thing. The Page of Pentacles, the student of life, and the 25 Knight of Wands with a new passion or commitment, or both. The 44 of quarter, of Hercules or Herculean test, exam, audit, or making things bigger than they are, or just magnification or an MRI, looking at the details or focusing on cards. The 35 of the wounded warrior, the sister, or suffering in silence and cutting ties, anchors, and is this freeing or ungrounding them? As the 38 Queen of Cups is rickety twin bridges to peaceful, mature, spiritual King of Swords union in both organic and inverted flowering at the same time, with Scorpio and Pisces, Libra and Sag, and the underlying energy of being present to a false person or dance of the masks, or little Leo at home, or the false person and the thief tango in a fiery dance, with the Queen of Wands or two fire signs on the loose, scamming people, or could be three actually, or one child, Leo, Aries, and Saggy perhaps. So we have 34 of the King of Pentacles in a fishy and or abundant energetic exchange, as the King of Pentacles and the Empress were seen together, and the Queen of Wands pissed off or tried to get one over on them. Or Dark Knight and their lucky charm with the High Priestess and Higher Self, Pisces or Divine Feminine, may be sharing with the King of Cups, 37, or the King of Pentacles and the King of Cups with a fortunate or lucky exchange, or Scorpion and Capricorn laying a trap for High Priestess, Divine Feminine, or Pisces here, and the Queen of Wands may have put them up to it. Mind you, the Queen of Wands could be a young adult or independent teen. So the first card here is the Page of Swords child transitioning, or a message of an ending, or a Scorpio message about a child. Perhaps here is the Queen of Wands getting a free ride, and this is not fair to an air sign, Page of Swords, or Knight of Swords. Perhaps both of these messages are from the King of Swords, refusing to budge from their position at 404 and 408, which is again the space between two emperors perhaps, and then the dance between two people. And that is your message. And so here is the final, this is the final message of the day, and then I have to go into the 7-deck read, or the 3-deck reads like this one on the table for the twin flames specifically. And before I get into this 5th read, there is just a short message here as well. But here is the 5th read so you can see it. If you pick number 5, this is you, of the messages of the day. The top one is the Metatron deck, and then the Tarot of Dreams, and then the Wild Unknown Animal Guidebook, the half deck of My Rider-Waite, and then the combined deck of Lenormand, Reverie, and the Kipper deck at the bottom. So I'm going to pull them in a little bit so you can see the pictures better. And again, you're number 5. So on the 5th, which is today, again, that picture of the bird was coming up. And it was coming up in all different positions, like the letter M with a loop, without a loop, or just the one I showed you, like the V with a loop on it, or the wings being bent down a little bit, like the scales. So it's combining the bird, the scales, and Atlas. And the energy of the 2 partridges in a pear tree also came up. The positions of the wings up and down, which is literally the heart. All right, so here's the heart. The heart is the wings down and the wings up. So again, the bird is in everything here. And it was coming up as the main focus here, along with the 2s and the loop-de-loops here. The fruit of your labor. And I'd started coughing at one point doing this as well, as I coughed during the read today as well. 2 hand in hand and the mom. Wings up and down, vibrating and gliding. The grounder and the flyer, all variations of the same. Some accentuate the shoulders and back, and some the chest and the wings. Some sit like the earth, and some fly like air. Some expand like fire, and some cry like water. To err on the side of stillness or inaction, or thought, action or emotion. To err is human, to love divine. To balance gives you peace of mind. Which is the M's, right? And I was getting so the Muppet Show's coming up, that we're here to have fun. And then they were bringing up the frequency of the M as well, because you notice the M is here, which is also the 2 mountains with the valley between. And then here is a small grouping, and then here is the mountain range. So we have the range, the mountain, and then the 2 was coming up as so the 2 together is coming up as the pair with the valley, or in other words, 2 creating space to come together. The multiple mountains were mountains, and then a lot of the M's were a range, like a mountain range, and then bringing up the frequency of the vibration, you see, which makes it higher, right? Makes it, the higher the frequency, the higher your consciousness. And then you realize that as you go from this slower vibration to this faster vibration, you ultimately, sorry, it's kind of fuzzy there. You'll ultimately go from here to 1, right? So this is the highest, that'll be up to source. So the heart is just the wings both up and down. It's also the M and the V on the ground or up in the air. So the grounder and the flyer. Co-creating or creating alone. The IVI is the M, and then the V alone, letting go of your legs to try your wings. The human angelics who dance and sing. So, and this message today is really profound. So if you pick number 5 today, you picked a good one to pick. So here we are. I started these pulls today at 11:14 to 11:18. The 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18, which is the angel and the devil, the tower, the star, and the moon. And the piles at the end were 4, 1, 2, 3, 2. And I looked up, the big numbers didn't have any entries from Gematria today. But I looked up 412 and 232 and then 102 real quick. And 412, first entry was Aurora, along with English Gematria. 3 was Decode the Message, and 4 was Saint Germain, which I told you was coming up this week. 232 was Satan, but then Santa and Memphis and climate change. And Satan was breaking down into Satan, right? And we're all tan, right? Because we're human. Can you say tan, right? So talking about our shadow side. And then, and that was at 11:22, by the way. And then we have number 102, which was Abaddon. I'm not sure what that means. Abaddon, Abaddon, but it's also a bad dawn. The second entry was TB, or top dog, and reaching to the feminine side. And then the third entry was cash, and then the fourth entry was safe. So there's that energy of breaking into a safe as well. A bad dawn, Sorch reaches out to the divine feminine, California or Canada, and shh, don't talk. Say iron. Can you say iron? So iron was coming up very significantly, is I-Ron, and L. Ron Hubbard comes up, as well as Ron Howard comes up. But it was really about iron, which I'll get to in a second. But I looked up 41 as well, which means all, the first entry. Then an, Liebe, L-I-E-B-E, and then N-A are not applicable. So the way this all came up was iron equals I and then Ron, or I, the divine feminine, grounded, reaching out to humans to turn on to unity consciousness. And then all, Aurora, Satan, a bad dawn, and Iron, to apply extreme heat to smooth wrinkles. Ron means heroin, rum, and rainwash, circle, ring, sharp, leaf, roe deer, run, rune, and witchcraft. And Don. So Ron means Don, and Don came up separately from Ron, and Don means Oxford or Cambridge professor, basically, or a dorm employee like a TA. The mafia boss to dress attire, or you want, need, like love, gown, appearance, look, frozen, congealed, frost, black ice, day to enter, put on, deep leaf, so there's leaf for 2 different words, gift, talent, knock, donation, sir, Mr., master, and lord, misfortune and evil, because of course we're talking about a dawn. The father leads to compete, make, remove, to go, to put, to have, behave, to fat and grease, and to treat. Stupidity, a fool and implement, underpants, jogging pants, pants, shorts, porcupine, headland, or the cape, bread and drink all came up for Ron and Don. And Don came up under Ron. So I am Ron, and Ron was all of those definitions, including the leaf, which came up twice, and Don, which came up twice. So I, heroin, which notice the drug heroin and the girl heroin are only different by an E on the end. And heroin is her-oin, O-I-N, which is foot, thorn, prickle, yam, cage, stab, bake, roast, and to fire pottery. So the heroine and the Ron equal Don, who's the professor at Oxford who lives with the students and collects their money, or protects you for a price. I, leaf, sharp and fragile at the same time, a dear one with witchcraft who dresses in suspended animation, or animal totem, Tyon, the tiger lioness. I, gift, donation, father, evil master, or leader to grease stupidity, which is a tool, or underwear, wearing the pants in the family. I the cape of the headland, I the bread and drink, I her foot, her blueprint. So that was very interesting. So the underlying energy here is the 22 with Archangel Sandalphon coming up. Of Sand as in Sandalphon, and Meta as in Metatron, and Aurora and Michael, of course, then come up too. So I always call Sandalphon Saint Dolphin, and Metatron may be Metatron, and Aurora comes up as the gold row ray, and Saint Dolphin is also coming up here as the doll's phone, and Meta Gold, Row, Ray, and Mike, and then Mickey Dolenz came up here as well. So Sandy and Goldie met and mic'd a Tron, and Aal, or T-Ron, as opposed to Iron, and the irony of it all. So T is the top dog, or time out, and I is the top dog brought down to earth to iron, or iron out the wrinkles. Two U's are in keys, or N keys, or JC keys, as the Taurus with direction. The 22 of Archangel Sandalphon, and 2 of Pentacles, or coins, that was reversed here, with the snake and the Fool, which is 0 here, but in numerology it's 22, as in St. Dolphin, and the 38 of the Queen of Cups, with twin bridges closing the gap here, and the Delaware River gap came up, which, remember, the delta is that Y in the river, but without the T, or 2 U's, R. The divine feminine grounds and reaches out for ivy urgent creation, or God's application. So the Fool Sandy, your Lyran connection, the Muppet Rainbow connection of Jim Henson and Tim So Handsome, so J-I-M and T-I-M jump to top dog and create a frog instead in the fog, but instead of Ted. He who would be prince and count to 10, for he to let down her hair on Sesame Street, or to see the same street, or path. So Sandy or St. Dolphin, whichever you prefer, serenades serendipitously to render serene and calm at 12:04, the Hanging Man and the Emperor. So they can take the easy pass connection, or compassion, by dropping the ball, the daily grind, to wind back time a bit and break patterns. If I could save time in a bottle. So that was coming up. And that's Jim Croce. So Jims and Tims are coming up here. The daily grind to wind back time a bit and break patterns, no longer leaving it up in the air, but dropping them both. Decision, no choice. As collective awakens in a snake-like fashion, or fash connection, the annoyance connection, the member of far, right, confusion, and shame, the father silencing connection. The fa is the 4th note, the emperor, the final word. But 5 goes on to freedom and dance, requiring 6, a song and merriment, or positive intent. And then a moment of silence for 7 key. The key is which key you resonate to and with, to harmonize with 8. Your power and flow and toe to 2 U's to wrap things up in the 6-9 pod that needs to get covered by the 9 first before creating the crazy 8s inside. But you must have the right 7 key to get into the 8. And there's the catch, the 22, where the 2 is also the Q. The 2 2s are the 2 Qs in the Fool's journey of the 2 2s and Qs, of 2 queens that equal 1 emperor, or the number 4. The 2 Z's and 2 N's, which are the same rolling stone. They're only a 2-sided creature. For the Z rolls to N and the N rolls to Z. And you notice the 2 between the N and the Z. So the ZQN and the NQZ, and there's not many words that come up as the, but NQ UMA came up to become dry, congel, freeze, and decide. And the belly and the pot belly came up in the ZQ words of UQ and AQ afterward. And the NQT means nearly qualified teacher or newly qualified teacher. But the NQ and then the 6 horizontal lines, which could represent NQT since T is top dog in the all, well, NQ 6 lines equals to inscribe or scratch, in Egyptian, of course. So if the NQ 6 lines, and 2 of them there, are to inscribe or scratch, then the opposite of that, of ZQN, is then to not do that. To scratch an itch or not to scratch an itch? That is the question, or the Q path connection. The Q equals the synchronicity, to synchronize paths in a line, is the question, the quest connection. Or in other words, to become familiar. To become familiar, what does that sound like? The family? To become familiar so that the unknown goes away with the fear, creating space between to resonate in the sound chamber. The enclosed space, vacuum sealed, an airlock to keep out and keep in the purified and not yet purified on the outside. So like play ball, the 2 coins are dropped top down on everyone. Like the gates opening for the 2 lions to come out entering the Colosseum, like the pit bulls into the ring, the free food or money tossed into the masses, who then can be lassoed, so to speak. The ring around the rosy in a gathering of energies, 2 souls in a field of 1, or Pac-Man style, eating up all the excess, like fish eating your calluses on your feet. You need a container to do this, a field of energy and vacuum of sorts, amidst an outer field of possibilities, if entered in, would overwhelm the masses. 1 person at a time, 1 group at a time, 1 collective at a time, in a roundup, whether purification snake or the snake feeding you roundup. The bait is cast. 1, 2, 3, 4, shut the door at 12:34. As then at 35, the fool can exit with loyal pure friend and no exit strategy. Free to leap with sun at their back, flower ring in hand, and shadow pack. Off to twin bridges to the Queen of Cups, the 38 of 3 keys of tree keys. The tricky Sophia's dance across the bridges in need of repair, to pair up again. And the pear, as in P-E-A-R, also means avocado, or that chartreuse yellow, the pillar, the windowsill, one of several stone pillars placed by way of a bridge, or very heavy-duty stepping stones, or the alligator or crocodiles in Live and Let Die. The pair also equals the pair, P-A-I-R, or coupling. So the partridge in a pear tree is the partridge in a pea root re, or a pea that are the trill of the energetic exchange, right? The thrill of victory, the agony of defeat. But here's coming up as the trill of the energetic exchange, of the root or the pod, and the par, which is equal, the trill of the ID energy in a pea pod of the 698 exchange. The 6 and the 9 are the energetic exchange and equally holding each other. The 2 pairs hanging on a tree, as in the wiki picture for the pear tree, and the 2 peas in a pod equaling trilling. The partridge in a stone pillar range, spanning the globe like roots of the tree. Mountains that are the bridges across the water. They are the stepping stones, the paths of one. Where step is the ST and the EP of the path and the episode, the epic fish to angle or force many. A wake-up call. Hey, wake up. Of EP with an accent is intact or unharmed, sound and complete, solid and wholesome. So not doing this in an awful way, but enabling them by pressure or triggering of unknown origin. So stepping is the step and ping, to push or echo or incite. to email or message wanting a response or reply, just to know they got it or are still present or alive. The path of wholeness through latency or concealment and invisibility, hiding, delay, or inactivity. The delay between the stimulus and the response is the ping, the space between. So at 1257 is the King of Swords, 51, and white purification. The 12 of the Akash and the Hanging Man with wisdom. The 48 of the void of walking away and within to the Om, and the 22 of Archangel Sandy or Sandalphon, and the King of Swords purifying via the Akash review, hanging out in the void of Om, of rest and retreat within. Archangel Sandalphon, with you now, pulling your strings and creating a song with lyre and words that he found, opening to a page to serenade. The first card here is the number 9 of the Hermit in action, running with the Big Bird shadow, or angelic realms, where movement is needed. Saint Dolphin, or Dolphin inspiring you, me and my shadow, strolling down the avenue. To move your limbs, and the 55 red root shaman's truth, with power and strength, offering peace pipe or flute to match your kundalini rising, to soothe your ails. Sleep and I shall soothe you, calm you and anoint you, myrtle your hot forehead. Oh, don't you know everything's all right? Yes, everything's fine, and it's cool and the ointment's sweet. In the fire in your head and feet. Close your eyes and relax, think of nothing tonight. So healing hand and how, and of course that's from Jesus Christ Superstar and Mary Magdalene, taking care of Jesus. For the wounded warrior's spinal column or pillar, the shaman's pipe, the warrior's sword, the rod and staff, the sword, the word, and the handle. The rod and the path of the human, the R, the OD, and the path of the human fast forward. With 4 cards, the 27, 28, 43, and 52 at 107, the masculine and magician and the 7 of the chariot ascending, the passion for twin coming together, in joy with the 2 of swords, ladybird. So at 108, Metatron, the rainbow beneath Michael's wings, the fractured colors of the white light splitting into all the parts of itself, to break down into groups because it's easier to receive and inspire, the twin flame path of the electromagnetic grid, untying karmic knots through the double diamond supernova pairing, coming together to pause to receive, healing hand, and the 52 of the Queen of Swords Big Bird, Lady Liberty, with priorities of soul retrieval to complete the rainbow within, and the gold wings representing the healing of the human, having experienced humanity in the fracturing of the pure soul. The building blocks or the pair stone pillars for life. The priory infiltrating from within the group. The 51 to the 52, the King of Swords to the Queen of Swords, and Archangel Sandalphon and the shaman between. At 116, the masculine and the tower, where the underlying energy is the Lovers reversed, the Two of Cups upright, the 6 of Wands upright, the Knight of Swords reversed, the 8 of Swords upright, the 5 of Pentacles upright, the 6 of Pentacles upright, the Hermit reversed, and the 2 of Pentacles reversed. So the undercover lovers and the 2 swan connection, allowing others to hold up the world, to meet and announce the good news, the win. The 6 of Wands leads the way, demanding a reply from the Knight of Swords reversed, who doesn't want to reply. Like nails on a chalkboard, would rather scale the prison walls than admit any wrongdoing, with Gemini energy here, but musters the strength of mother and child out in a storm, without shelter, offering their wooden cup without expecting anything in return, with mercurial energies here. But the 6 coins clears the way, offering their Libra hand, or after a breakup being expected to help them out of a jam, in Taurus energies exaggerated by the moon, or the angst of receiving final paperwork or divorce. Somebody could have gotten their final divorce decree here. but still having to pay out settlement or deal with them again. Sharing or settling out to Hermit reversed, forcing their hand. To come out and drop the facade, the act, the daily performance. I give. A lot of negative air energy here and impoverished earth, with Gemini and Virgo both reversed, of very poor communication or none at all. At 134, the masculine and the energetic exchange are arrows of love, and the 10 of Swords with the man and child's pose, or getting tattooed, and that could be medical tattoo as well. Ending pain or in a painful end, the ultimate betrayal that the mind alone cannot fathom or conceptualize. The 8 of Pentacles reversed in overtime, the Sun and Virgo, or star healer, overworking and or not working out, or being watched under a microscope, or too focused, hyper-focused on the details, with temperance or patience, or having patience, or literally hospital patience, or balancing and a higher love, perhaps pot-belly and wings, and tossing fiery rings and water portals, bridging through the ring of fire, and Sagittarius. With one card here, the King of Swords, perhaps Pleiadian in Merkaba chamber, the ram as well as the tree of life coming up in the nose and the brows again. At 139, the masculine and the Knight of Cups, or nosy and browsing, seeing what's up on the other side at 141. So at 142, going from the Ace of Cups to the Two of Cups, the underlying energy of the dragon watching the butterfly grow and transform, as the frog is longing for and grieving the eagles, diving right in to the collective awakening, or his higher self leaving the nest to go on mission. It's time, as triggered by the Black Panther ripping them apart. And the solar plexus is the dragon's eye that will catch them, that will watch them from a distance, but must now leave and go on mission. At 146 is the masculine and the Six of Cups, the inner or outer children loving each other, as the nightingale sings, calling with sweet baby's breath to wake up everyone. Wake up, wake up. Singing softly, not wanting to jolt them out of their slumber. As the cobra is on high alert, scrutinizing every detail, as the tarantula comes up at the crossroads or intersections of the solar plexus quantum entanglement, a decision has to be made. With two cards here, the beaver and the elephant, who build a dam for the elephant to cross. And remember that the pair is the stone pillars that cross the waters. They had to be very strong to carry the weight of an elephant. So the beaver and the elephant who are building a dam for the elephant to cross, clearing with each step, as weathered and broken as they are, holding flame and trunk with laser focus of third eye and big ears, or Ellie's pH, ant, or perhaps that's a penthouse ant, or B path, or the avenue of never forgetting, as the elephant, building, bridging across, building and bridging across, always another bridge to build and cross. At 153, the masculine and the Knight of Swords, the messenger of truth, and the Page of Swords. And then I got up at the 54 as well, that Page of Swords energy, so there was a message to bring. So the Page of Swords messages back. The King of Wands watches as the Knight of Cups moves forward with their chariot, or boldly, driving, ascending, or the Knight of Cups Cancer offering love to grouchy, wounded warrior Aries perhaps, defensive, but ultimately it's setting them free, they're just not letting them know about it. The message back is perhaps from the King of Wands, went to the King of Cups Pisces, or the King of Cups and the Divine Feminine or Pisces, or his world or neighborhood, are very satisfied with the terms or choices that were presented from them. Perhaps Pisces or the Divine Feminine or King of Cups now are then free to go on the road or travel or move with the King of Wands. So at 159, the masculine and the 11th hour, or the war within, the dark night, death, ending, transition, or Scorpio here, going towards the High Priestess, higher self, Divine Feminine, or Pisces, or Virgo perhaps, expecting the Knight of Swords type of rebuttal, where they may attack. The postman calls, perhaps with song, as the High Priestess is super focused or trying not to show any expression, or perhaps they can't take their eyes off of them, mesmerized by their peace offering. Can't take my eyes off of you. And this was coming up from Closer, the blower's daughter. So, can't take my eyes off of you kept coming up over and over and over again as I finished this read. And the song ends as Till I Find Somebody New. It's by Damien Rice. So the dark night approaches the virgin bride as the Knight of Swords rushes in, ready to duel to the death. I can't take my eyes off of you as the book ends, and back to the middle, the story of two knights, both dark and light, and one higher self stuck in the middle. Can't take my eyes off of you. And so it is, just as you said it would be. Life goes easy on me most of the time. And so it is, the shorter story. No love and no glory, no hero in her sky, which I was thinking it should have been no knight in her sky. There would have been a double meaning. Can't take my eyes off of you. Can't take my eyes off of you. So again, that's from the movie The Closer, if you've never seen it, and you have to look up the song because it's beautiful. So then at 2:14 is the Page of Cups and the Queen of Cups, and the Six of Cups together. The Two of Cups, the Sovereign and the Emperor, the Mother and Child, or Sovereign and Emperor. The Justice and the Empress, as the King of Pentacles humbly eyes the Queen of Swords, speaking her truth. The Blower's Daughter, who then connects with the Sovereign and the Emperor, whose justice is the Empress with the King of Pentacles, who has his eyes on her. As she says, and so it is, the shorter story, no love, no glory, and no hero in her sky. Don't take your eyes off of me. As Justice and the King of Pentacles, Capricorn, leave your Emperor and Empress and Heiress to their own devices. The children grow to deal with their own vices. Can't take my eyes off of you. At 2:21, the underlying energy of the 17, of the feminine and the whole, the world. The Queen of Cups nesting the dream away from bad health or perhaps a bad healthcare system, occupied in energetic exchange or the hours of love, busy with the Two of Cups direction, balancing the compass and clearing the family tree, clearing house with rainbow fractals of synchronicities, and the Knight of Wands high honors in a 3-cannon salute to the full moon today in the journey of balance, walking away and within, gently triggering the darkness out of them, within to the heart, and the Queen of Cups, twin bridges. At 2:25, and the one of the 7, the Chariot's message, of bridges to cross, to break the seal, undo the deal, as the truth is known and the dream gift is delivered, instead of the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Apparently the gift is delivered to the middle of the bridge, the 777, sudden wealth to the middle, which is, these 3 cards in this deck came out literally 7-17-11. Cracks the safe place open with 2 cards at 2:27, the feminine and the Ace of Wands, where the sun is the 31 and the 32 of despair from the chaos of life, groups, sun, kids, Leo, and ego and conflicts, and full exposure to the journey of despair or the pair. The 2 and the Q, the Z and the Q, the 31 to the 32, and the 33 and the 12, if you take them apart. The unity of the 1 and the 2 of the masculine and the feminine is exponential to the nth degree. To love divine, Z-vine or 2-vine, but to divine feminine is sacred. The red sack of gifts delivered at Christ Mass. At 2:30 of the 2 in union. Can't take my eyes off of you. Can't take my eyes off of you. Can't take my eyes off of you. Can't take my... As the Dream Weaver and the Queen of Cups. ... Rise and be loved.